board members is present. This meeting has been duly called, and the notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, and the time is now 6 p.m. Dee, you get a roll call, please. This time we'll stand for the pledge of the United States and the Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, I just want to welcome everyone here tonight. This is honestly probably one of the largest crowds we've ever had, certainly in this building. And are you guys all here for the roof replacement at the Short-Space Telephone? We usually have some pretty exciting topics later on in the board meeting, but I assume most of y'all are here for student recognition. Raise your hand if you're here for student recognition. Okay. Just kind of give you a big picture of what we do. This is the Board of Trustees, 7 elected officials here representing the entire school district. Here to my left is Dr. Gibson, the superintendent, and the folks down here on the front row, these are the administrators that basically manage the school district here. Each of us serves you guys. We're all here to do our best for this district, and if you guys ever have any questions or comments or ideas on how we can do things better, we're more than happy to sit down with you and visit with you. You're more than happy to attend future board meetings. Okay. As far as tonight goes, we have a few things that we're going to cover. We then will do the acknowledgement of our students, a few other minor things after that, and then we will have a natural break. And tell you what, after your student comes through, if you want to leave at that time, feel free to do so. If not, you're more than welcome to stay for a few more minutes, and then we'll have a natural break at that time, just to kind of make it a little bit smoother for everybody. So, how many of you, this is your first board meeting you've been to? Okay, so we certainly welcome you guys here. You're more than welcome to stay for the entire board meeting. Probably won't go over to about 11 o'clock tonight, but again, you're more than free to leave during those breaks as well. So we'll go ahead and get started. We also have some forms in the very back. It may be tough to get back there now just because of the crowd size, but if you have any comments, either pro or con, plus or minus on how we can do things, you can fill out those forms. Generally, for public comments, we ask that those forms be completed and submitted to Dee Etram here in the front row before the meeting gets called to order. So I've already got, I think we have three statements in, and I believe those are the ones that we'll have here tonight. Okay? So this time we'll go forward with the Vice President's recitation of the district mission, vision, values, and priorities.
Vision: to prepare every student to be a productive citizen. Our values are leadership, character, commitment, service, and learning. Our mission statement: Sharpsville Universal City Independent School District provides a safe, secure, and challenging learning environment through the responsible use of all resources to afford opportunities for all students to realize their individual potential and to become responsible and productive members of society. Our priorities are priority number 1, high achievement for all students, high performing and engaged workforce, and priority number 3, effective and efficient district and campus operations.
We'll also have the board's recitation of the district belief statements. Mr. Groom.
We believe all students have the capacity to learn and be successful. We believe a safe, secure environment is paramount to learning.
We believe that living our core values of leadership, character, commitment, service, and learning result in the ability to set and achieve lifelong goals. We believe quality instruction addresses the individual needs of our students.
We believe engaging, interactive, and authentic teaching creates empowered, active learners prepared for our changing world. We believe embracing technology as a relevant tool enhances learning in and beyond the classroom.
We believe in a professional learning community, the LCD culture that allows time to collaborate and share best practices in order to improve continually.
We believe good communication is critical to success. We believe lifelong learning enriches staff through professional development.
We believe measures of our success go beyond standardized testing, and we believe public education is defined by the local community with limited state involvement.
Thank you, board members. All right, this time we'll do our recognition items. Recognition of student representatives for the month of January 2017. Dr. Gibson.
Thank you, President Inman and staff members and community members. And what we're going to do, my assistant Dee Dee Etram, here they come. Before we recognize our 2 students of the month, and in conjunction with what was just said about our local standards and how we view measures of success, one way to measure success in culinary arts is when you feed the board members and they can't stop talking about how good the food is. That's a measurement of success if you're in culinary arts. So I want to recognize our culinary arts students here tonight for the wonderful year. I want y'all real briefly go to the podium and just tell us who you are real quick. Give us a name. Turn on that microphone if you don't mind real quick. Y'all go up and introduce yourselves real quick.
Hi, I'm Charisma Pedro.
Hi, I'm Alexander Burton.
Hi, I'm Madison Hanson. Hello, I'm Nicole Knox.
And I'm Kelsey Featherston, I'm the instructor.
I believe all of the students and instructor are all from Steele, correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Peeperto, you got any comments about the food tonight? Very nice. Thank you very much, Steve. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We pulled them back in, Mr. Inman. Thank you for doing that because they're working. So that, thank you all. We want to give you some recognition. It was delicious.
Thank you. Go on with the school board, I'm sorry, recognition of student representatives.
So tonight, somewhere in the sea of faces out here is Cameron Martinez, a 12th grader at Clemens High School, and Holly Nelson, a 12th grader at Steele High School. There are students of the month from our 2 traditional high schools, and we're going to let them come introduce themselves. They have an administrator with them and maybe a sponsor. We're going to hear from them.
Good evening, Dr. Gibson, President Inman.
Make sure there's a green light on.
Good evening, Dr. Gibson, President Inman, and members of the board. My name is Deborah Ibarra, Assistant Principal at Steele High School. I'm proud to present to you Holly Nelson, who is representing the National Honor Society. Holly's family is with us tonight. Please stand to be recognized. Mrs. Pam Noisy is our National Honor Society sponsor. Unfortunately, she could not make it today. Holly is a senior at Steele High School. She's maintaining a GPA of 103 and a class rank of 13 out of 529. Holly is the president of the National Honor Society for our school. Holly not only excels in her academics, but is involved in many community and church events. She teaches Sunday school to 4th graders at Old PH and helps out with the youth ministry there as well. She's also a member of the Catholic Spirit Club at our high school. Amongst her free time, Holly also finds time to play tennis for our school. She has been playing for 4 years and has been the captain since her sophomore year. Holly has been accepted to the University of Incarnate Word and St. Mary's in San Antonio. She has been rewarded with academic scholarships for both universities. Holly is a great leader at our school and we are very proud of her. I now present to you Holly Nelson.
My name is Holly Nelson, as you said before, and I have been going to SCUC since kindergarten, and I have been achieving an all-A honor roll ever since my first years of school. And I've lived here in the Church Cibolo community my whole life with my parents and my 3 sisters. I'm also involved with my church and community, as you said beforehand, and I've also started working at Orange Leaf off of Cibolo Valley Drive, so come visit. I started working there last month, and I'm currently training for a higher promotion. Hopefully. For my education, I have decided to attend the University of Incarnate Word in the fall, and I'm under the area of study of undecided as of now. So hopefully I figure out what I'd like to do within my first year of college. And as well, I am a second-year member of Steele's National Honor Society, as well as the president of the club. We have 155 members, and we meet twice a month. For our program, we focus closely on the 4 pillars, which are leadership, character, scholarship, and service. We do so by involving our members with Habitat for Humanity, participating in food drives, and fundraisers. One fundraiser we just finished in December was a SNAP fundraiser, in which we were able to raise almost $9,500. That money will pay for the NHS scholarships that will be given away at the end of the year banquet to 4 of the members. Aside from the SNAP, we also organized a Christmas food drive, and the first one, in fact, that we've ever done. And we did it to help those in need for food for the holidays, and it was a success. And this club is not just about having a high GPA or how academically smart you are. It's also about how committed you are to your community, responsibility, and involvement outside of school activities. It is about dedication and serving others. NHS has brought the best out in me, and it shows me just how far I will push myself to succeed in whatever I'm doing. It has helped me personally become a better leader and to understand exactly what being a role model is all about. I have been blessed throughout my whole life with amazing opportunities, such as this one tonight. And Steele's National Honor Society is looking forward to pursuing the 4 pillars and helping others for the rest of the year, as well as many years to come. And thank you for y'all's time and for this opportunity to speak to y'all tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Gibson, President Inman, esteemed board members, family, and guests. My name is Amy Sarazati. I'm Vice Principal at Clemens High School. If Cameron's family would please stand to be acknowledged. It is with great pride to introduce Senior Cameron Martinez. Cameron's unique story encompasses the buff pride we feel for every student who walks through our doors. She came to us after spending her first 2 years of high school attending Smithson Valley. While there, she has been described as shy and a mere participant of high school. Once she became a part of the Buff family, friends, family, and teachers alike have acknowledged the incredible change they witnessed as she pursued leadership roles in extracurricular groups, particularly FCCLA, where she is currently the president. Cameron also found inspiration to succeed in her first AP course in physics. Her drive for success is evident in everything she chooses to do by taking on additional challenges in both her educational and personal life. As a junior, she wanted to compete in the hospitality and tourism competitions offered in the FCCLA organization. With her hard work and effort, Cameron participated with a team who made it all the way to the national level of competition in San Diego this past summer. As president of our FCCLA, she has led awareness initiatives such as the Texting and Driving Awareness Week to educate her peers and community on the dangers of distracted driving. She aspires to be a certified dietitian and nutritionist. Next fall, she will be attending Texas A&M Kingsville to fulfill her lifelong dream of helping others lead healthier lives. Cameron is a thoughtful, ambitious, and overall inspiration to those around her. She embodies the characteristics tried and true of a Clemens Buffalo. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Cameron Martinez.
Good evening, Dr. Gibson, President, Mr. Inman, and members of the board. My name is Cameron Martinez, and I'm President of Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, also known as FCCLA. This is a student organization that helps with personal growth, leadership, development, and career preparation opportunities for students in family consumer sciences education. FCCLA has helped me accomplish great things. I first became a member of the club my junior year and decided to compete. Working with Hannah and Ashley, we created a family-oriented resort that targeted the use of organic products. True Nature Valley was put together through research while visiting the current hospitality industry representatives. Putting forth many hours of work brought me to accomplish placement at regional, state, and nationals in San Diego. Utilizing these skills and strengths of all involved were invaluable to me. Being a part of this organization has impacted me by teaching me to always work to my full potential. I learned not to just meet the standards, but to go beyond the usual expectations of high school. In the end, hard work pays off. As I move into Texas A&M Kingsville, I aim to receive my bachelor's and master's degree in health sciences, majoring in human nutrition. As I move through my journey, I will continue to benefit from these life lessons. I could not have done this alone, so I'd like to thank my advisors, teachers, and family throughout these victories. Thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening.
We're going to take a photo with those students and sponsors and administrators.
Parents, if you want to come up.
Come right.
Thank you, Holly and Cameron. At this time, we'll go to School Board Recognition Month. Dr. Gibbs.
And my part in this is pretty complicated. Mr. Shea, would you do this out, please?
It would be my pleasure. Thank you. Good evening, President Inman, Dr. Gibson, and members of our board. As elected trustees, you play a role in our community and schools. You're extraordinary people who voluntarily tackle the enormous responsibility of governing our school district. Your actions and decisions affect the present and future lives of our students and community. You're the Region 20 Board of Trustees of the Year, one of the top 5 Board of Trustees in the entire state of Texas, and most importantly, number 1 in our community and more importantly, in our hearts. Our celebration will begin tonight with some student representatives from our 18+ Adult Transition Program. This program, which is located at the Marion Gulford Learning Center, is designed to assist students ages 18 to 21 with mild to moderate disabilities to make a smooth transition from a school environment to adulthood. The program continues to develop and apply employability, independence, and social skills while focusing on each student's post-secondary goals. With the collaboration of the students, parents, teachers, and various adult agencies, the students are provided multiple opportunities to learn and use the skills necessary to function as productive and independent citizens. I'd like to welcome our 2 representatives up to the podium.
Hello, my name is Kaylin Hankins. thank Superintendent Dr. Gibson, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Edwards, board members, and all construction and maintenance crew who made it possible for us to expand our opportunities by becoming productive citizens in our community.
We would like to formally invite you to an appreciation brunch on February the 10th at 10:30 a.m. to thank you for making our new facility as possible.
And our Kayla and Orlando's families here, if you're here, please stand. Well, we continue our celebration tonight by taking this opportunity to give you a small token of our appreciation by dedicating a book in your name to each of our schools. So representing Cibolo Valley Elementary tonight is Dustin Hank, and he's presenting Mr. Westbrook with the book titled Stuck. Oh, they're coming to you?
Yeah, they're coming.
Okay.
They're gonna line up right. Make it easy.
Representing Green Valley Elementary is Donovan Murphy. And he's presenting the book Harry Potter and the Cursed Child Parts 1 and 2 to Mr. Gary Inman. Representing Haskell Elementary is Ayanna Phillips, and she is presenting Mr. Carew with the book titled The Last Kids on Earth. Representing Rose Garden Elementary is Lauren Sam, presenting Mr. Perkins with the book titled The Last Kids on Earth. From Schertz Elementary is Michaela Ball, presenting the book The Last Kids on Earth to Mr. Mark Wilson. Representing Cibolo Elementary is Summer Murray, and she's presenting the book titled The Last Kids on Earth to Miss Amy Dreisbeck. Representing Watts this evening is Tommy Peck, presenting the book titled The Last Kids on Earth to Mr. Pivito. From Wiederstein Elementary is Davina Degollado, presenting the title Mr. Lemoncello's Library Olympics to Mr. Inman. From Jordan Intermediate, we have Avery Hirsch, presenting Ms. Reisbeck the book titled Harry Potter and the Cursed Child Parts 1 and 2. From Schlatter Intermediate, we have Christina Clarita, presenting Mr. Westbrook the book titled Harry Potter and the Cursed Child Parts 1 and 2. From Wilder Intermediate, we have Jaylon Saab, presenting Mr. Inman the book titled Harry Potter and the Cursed Child Parts 1 and 2. From Corbett Junior High, we have Noah Villarreal, presenting Mr. Pivito the book titled The Fever Code. From Dobie Junior High, we have Kara Loomis, representing the book titled The Fever Code to Mr. Wilson. From Clemens High School, we have Cameron Martinez presenting Mr. Wilson the book titled The Firebrand and the First Lady, Portrait of Friendship by Patricia Bell Scott. Representing Byron Steel High School is Holly Nelson, and she's presenting the Previta with the book titled The Firebrand and the First Lady, Portrait of a Friendship by Patricia Bell Scott. And representing both Allison Steele and the DAP is Sahara Martinez, and she's presenting the book titled The Firebrand and the First Lady, Portrait of a Friendship by Patricia Bell Scott to Mr. Throop and Mr. Perkins. And students, I believe you're still here. Students, we would like you to come up for a group picture with our board members. And if you're taller, please stand towards the back. And if you're less tall, please take to the front. Parents, you may come up here to the podium to take a picture.
Stand in the middle. Oh my God, this is
Let's give our board and our student representatives
Before we completely adjourn this item on the agenda, and as the students make their way back, let me just say a couple of words. I think they may be trying to take the library books back from you. I think they're going, but we're going to take them out. As Mr. Edmond noted earlier, tonight was about school board recognition, and I'm the school superintendent, and parents that are here, whether you're here with your students that made the presentation, or those that are here celebrating with Shimona. First and foremost, and this is going to get a little political, but I'll get right off of it, I promise you. There's nothing that we've done so far that can be measured on a standardized test. And if you have a sense of community as being a part of SCUC, that's not something that is dictated from state or federal government. That's what we create here. So I want to thank these students for representing their community tonight by stepping up, many of them the first time ever in a crowd, and making this presentation to our school board. Now, that's it for politics. Okay, now, I do want to say that I truly am one of the most fortunate, if not the most fortunate, superintendent in the state of Texas, because Ms. Chade she did great with the VITA or bio that she read for the board. What she doesn't know, it just came out yesterday, which was a holiday, is that our board was also named one of 5 finalists for the HEB Grocery School Board of the Year, which is a $50,000 cash prize, which is not too shabby. We don't care necessarily about that, but we'll take it if they're going to give it to us. But this board is also being recognized by HEB as one of the top 5 school boards in the state. Now that doesn't come, you say, okay, what does the school board do? This is an event that occurs every, once a month, and if you just came and you casually look at it, you wouldn't understand everything it takes to make all of this happen. And our Board of Trustees presents on a regular basis at the state and national level on how boards should operate. And if I don't take the time to tell you all that, I don't know that you'll know that. So I want you to know that this board is actually recognized, and they do training state and nationwide on what good school boards should do. So I find myself in a very odd position of being a superintendent that loves all my bosses. So there you go. Thank you all for being here tonight and for this celebration, and thank you school board members for everything you do.
we know the most important thing in this district is our students. So we're going to go ahead and proceed with more student recognition. Ms. Jen, you do the recognition of student achievement.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
So yes, now we will shift to recognizing some of our SCUC students who achieved outstanding academic and athletic distinctions. We applaud their efforts to shine in these areas and bring excellence to our district. Parents, students, parents, and friends, thank you for joining us tonight to recognize your children. And students, congratulations on your accomplishments and best of luck to you as your future in our district and beyond our district. So we're going to start off with academic all-state tonight. And to earn this, seniors have to have an overall average of 94 from the freshman, sophomore, and junior year grades. The athlete has to learn to balance all aspects of their life and dedicate time not only to their athletics, but academics so that they are successful in school. Tonight, representing Steele High School, we have two cross-country students who were on academic all-state. Marissa Martinez, please come forward. And Joshua Dorantes. I can't even read my own writing. And if their parents are here, please stand to be recognized. Or wave, yes. Congratulations. We have some other students, some volleyball athletes who received academic all-state honors. 6 out of 8 of our senior volleyball players at Steele High School earned this recognition. We're extremely proud of their success. These students are Carson Benson, Andrea Cardenas, Jada Gardner, Stephanie Hiralba, Samantha Harrison, and Kaylee Lanu. And if their parents are here, please wave or stand to be recognized, please. Thank you for your students receiving academic all-state recognition, some of our football players. The Texas High School Coaches Association Academic All-State Teams recognize high school athletes who excel in the following categories: GPA, class rank, and ACT/SAT score. The students below who will be naming are being recognized as a team member based on their scores in these categories. We applaud them for their commitment and dedication to perform with the highest of excellence academically, in the classroom, and on the field. From Clemens High School, Zachary, I apologize, Zach, if I say your last name wrong, I'm sorry, Zachary Di Domenico. Travis Fraser, Thomas Heston, Virginia Honecker, John Morales, Hunter Neal, Justin Rutgers, Fiona Scoggin, and Logan Teskey. parents, I see you coming up. If you're not already up here, please wave or stand to be recognized. Thank you for your support of your athletes. Congratulations. Our football players from Steele High School who received academic All-State are Jada Brown, William Collins, Joshua Crosland, Juan Cruz, Hannah Hagan, Macy Poot, Jacob Landsteiner, Caleb Marr, Cody Massey, Mallory Miller, Ian Montalvo, Daniel Nagy, David Nitch, Hunter Owens, Alexis Susky, Gio Velez, and Quentin Williams. Move over to them and I'll get your pictures taken. And parents of these student athletes, please stand or wait to be recognized. Congratulations. Going on, our next one, football coaches pick players from the district based on regular season performance statistics. Nominees are submitted to the San Antonio Express News for voting by the Texas Associated Press Sports Editors. So we have a student from Clemens High School, Darius Van Dyke, who received the AP All-State. He's not here tonight, even though it was kind of kicking and screaming for him to not come. But he's a kind of an important basketball player also. So he's playing a game tonight, so he's not here. Our honorees from Steele are Joshua Crosland, Javion Cardwell, Caden Stearns, and Jaden Jackson. If their families are here, please stand or wait to be recognized. Congratulations. A couple more football recognitions. Our next one is Max Preps Junior All-American. Max Preps Press is a national high school sports website that allows teams to upload schedules, rosters, statistics, game results, and videos. It also tracks individual statistic leaders. Caden was one of 4 from Texas to be named to the Junior All-American team. From Steele High School, Caden Stearns. And our next young man is not here tonight. He's already in college, right? He's already this semester? Yes. But he's on the Blue-Gray All-American Bowl was established to help bring national exposure to high school football players to increase their chances to secure scholarships to college. In addition, these bowls have become must-see events with college coaches from all over the country. Xavier Martin played quarterback on the West team during the Dallas Cowboys AT&T Stadium Bowl on December 22nd, 2016. And then, last but not least, we have a football team, our Steel Knight football team, whose motto and rally cry for the 2016 school year is to be elite. They undoubtedly joined the ranks of the elite with a 14-2 record, and their only losses being to the two eventual 6A state champions. A sixth consecutive undefeated district title, and as a 6A Division II state finalist. Please help us recognize our Steel Knight football team for representing our district with pride. And of course, you know there are many more players. This is a small representation of the team. Picture time. And families, please stand and wait to be recognized. And are there any other coaches here? We've got Coach Lindhoff. Any other coaches that made it out tonight?
They're all coaching somewhere.
Okay, yeah, they're all here. Gentlemen are tall. Congratulations and thank you, gentlemen. This concludes our student recognition portion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Che, and students. At this time, we'll do public comments and a couple other items, and we'll go ahead and take a break. And I think we hear rain outside. But those of you that want to go ahead and depart after we take that break, feel free to do so at that time. Okay? Just make sure we have the public comments in order. I'm going to read a few just ground rules that we have for the district, and then I'll call up the folks that have already submitted their forms to do public comments. In order to provide consistency and fairness to all individuals, public comments will be heard in accordance with Board Policy BED Local and procedures outlined in Administrative Regulation BED. Comments should be limited to topics such as policies, curriculum, and facilities. Any direct criticism of a specific employee will not be heard during public comments. It should be considered separately as provided in Board Policy. In this context, individuals are cautioned to not identify any employee by name or by any combination of words or descriptions which could identify the employee to another individual. Public comments will be limited to individuals who signed up to participate in the public comment portion of the meeting before the board meeting was called to order. An individual who signed up to participate in the public comment portion of the meeting may not relinquish their time to another individual. No public comment shall exceed 5 minutes. To ensure compliance with this time limitations, a yellow card will be held up by the board secretary, Mr. Pivito, at 4 minutes, and a red card will be held up at 5 minutes. If you have an issue that you would like to discuss with an administrative staff member, please complete the designated form located on the table at the back of the room and place it in the wooden box. Your concerns and contact information will be forwarded to the appropriate staff member so that they can take the appropriate action. And at this time, I've got 3 individuals who have submitted to speak in public comments. The first is Haley Fahy. Hey, okay. She's a resident of Cibolo, Texas.
Hello.
Hi.
came here purely to provide information, to address. Hopefully in the future we can make a good relationship to progress and be something more positive. I have 2 children in the district. They are in the special education department. They have exercised their right to use that. Since the start of their school journey, they've faced many challenges, and I'm not referring to their disabilities. I'm purely referring to the fact that we have run into, time after time, a fight, a conflict, an incident, unprovoked by anyone. My children have been treated as lesser than their peers. After months in the classroom, teachers just decided they couldn't tell them apart and didn't find it important. It was even explained that their deficit in communication was because they were babies, instead of providing an appropriate response for that. They have been ignored, they have been coddled, and they have been treated as though they are not capable of their peers. But more often than not, everyone forgot to just let them try to do things on their own. Just because my child may or may not have the same expressive communication as their peers certainly does not mean they cannot understand every word you said. They hear all and remember everything, and they know how you're treating them, whether it's respectful or not. Your reactions and emotions are not ignored by my children. They are felt at a different magnitude. Those reactions and emotions are internalized and magnified within my little guys. My children have faced physical harm. They have been scratched and bitten and hit by their peers because of the classroom was perhaps understaffed despite multiple pleas for help. My children have needed stitches from an accident in the classroom that no one seemed to witness. They have been lost, escaped not only the classroom but also the building. No one seemed to know why or how. My children have been stressed to the point of aggression so terrible that they would scream and cry for no reason. Feel that they need to become physically aggressive, not eat, not sleep, and even engage in self-injurious behavior. At one point, Child Protective Services even contacted us because of an incident that occurred at school that we did not report, and somebody else did. And that's a horrible shock for any parent to get that phone call and not know it's coming. It's a terrible feeling, and I'm sure everybody can relate to that. My children have faced academic failure, the lack of implementing an individualized education plan, and their personalized behavior intervention plan. Many times they were improperly tested, if tested at all, on their goals in order to progress academically. Most of their school experience, no data was collected, which is needed for their goals, and allow them to increase what they're capable of per IEP. This left them bored and unengaged in the classroom and unable to experience progress and provided more behavioral issues than we'd like to see. My children have been taken advantage of because they cannot come home and sit with us at dinner and tell us how their day was. They are essentially nonverbal at this point. They're progressing well, but to find out that things are being hidden because my children cannot tell me is shameful. I did not come here to point fingers and blame. All these issues have been resolved in their own time, appropriately. But I, due to research, I have found out that I think some of this is being swept under the rug, and I think if we just bring it out to the open and discuss it and acknowledge it, that maybe we can find an open forum to where we can discuss a possible resolution. I'm not here to shame anyone. I want better for my children. I know this district could be better. It's a great district. However, reading these belief statements, it seems that they failed my kids so far. And that's disappointing. I want them to have the same education everybody does. And I do want to acknowledge all the people that have been a great asset to us. We have met some really phenomenal employees who have helped us a lot. We do want to make sure we end on positive for all that as well. Thank you.
Is it all here?
Yes, it is.
Thanks. Just to you as well as the audience, just to the laws, the board's not allowed to respond to public comments since it's not a separate agenda item. But Haley, I will tell you too, we appreciate you sharing your thoughts. You said something to the effect that the issues were resolved, but I would highly encourage you to visit with the responsible administrator or whoever's in charge of the program, whatever you've been dealing with over the years, to see if you can visit with them to try to get everything resolved fully. And if that doesn't work, we do have an in-house procedure to ultimately get it back to the board so that it's not in front of dozens of other people, so that we can address your issues in that way as well. But appreciate your comments.
We've been to 3 different schools, so
Okay.
we've dealt with a lot of different people.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate it. You bet. Next up, we have Taryn Phillips from Cibolo.
First of all, I just want to say thank you to my Refuge Church family. I'm the pastor of Refuge Church Universal. I'd like to acknowledge all my folks. I would like to recognize them because they are a huge part of your community and making an impact as we speak. I want to thank you in advance for later considering the purchase of 401 West 3rd Street. It is a building we have been looking for a long time, and we have a desire to create a community center that reaches out, makes an impact in our community. Our desire is to make an impact not only with kids and adults, but we're doing that right now. With veterans, helping people that are hurting, or through lifestyle issues. We'll continue to be a community center, providing professional counseling and recovery programs both to students and adults as well. Also by reaching through sports programs. I've been a professional athlete, and one of the things I'm passionate about is helping our students in school. I know sports have helped me, and it's a huge way, avenue to reach our students. We have several people at our church that have been professional athletes that will be using to create programs to help our schools connect with the local school system here, you guys as well. Our goal is to teach leadership, determination, and respect. That's been given to us. We're diverse. We have every color. We have every background. I'm very privileged to have a group of people like that come from all kinds of backgrounds, heard some things, from every economical background as well. And lastly, I'd like to thank the elders of my church. Whether you approve this move tonight or not, what I would say is you have a group of men. I know we have plenty of churches in town. I'm not your average pastor. Some of you know me. But you have a group of men that are behind me and with me that are leading to have a compassion. Passion for this city and for these students as well. I'd like to thank them. I'd like to thank Cedric Edwards, Mayor Pro Tem Schertz, David Lindau, pastor of First Baptist Universal City, for their counsel and insight through this process. And Mark Sutton, the president of Schertz Bank, who at this goes through will be our financier. And I just want to thank you in advance for considering us, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Pastor, I do want to warn you and your members here that that item happens to be one of the last items on the agenda. I don't know if you want to stay all night or not. You're more than welcome to stay.
We're camping out.
All right. The last one we have is from Councilman Jay Hope, Cibolo City Councilman.
Good evening, Dr. Gibson, President Inman, and members of the board. My name is Jay Hope, City Councilman for the City of Cibolo. I'm here to speak on the agenda item concerning you guys sending a letter to the Green Valley Board of Directors. They recently had an election. One of the members that won their election had to resign the day he got sworn in because he sold his house in the district. The board is represented by 7 members throughout all of Green Valley Special Utility District's CCN, which includes a good portion of Cibolo, a portion of Schertz, all the way over to Seguin, all the way south of I-10, all the way over to Kingsbury, all the way up to New Braunfels. They have a very large area. They have roughly 10,000 customers. Roughly 4,000 of those customers are in the city of Cibolo. We know that because they get their sewer from us, but they get their water from Green Valley. There's estimated 100 to 200 more residents in Schertz that do the same thing. We also know that there are many residents inside the city limits of Cibolo that are on sewer system, on a septic tank, so we don't know where they get their water from. We know they get their water, but they're not in our records other than on our tax rolls, so we'd have to go through the tax rolls to see how many we have. We anticipate, or we estimate, that we have between 45 and 50% of their customer base in Cibolo and Schertz. They currently have 1 representative on that board from the city of Cibolo, and that's it. We have 1 representative from this end of the county representing that board. They have to select a member. It's supposed to happen at their February meeting. I just got their board agenda. They're accepting applications until the 27th of this month. However, they put on their board agenda for this Thursday that they may go ahead and pick somebody this Thursday, even though they're accepting applications till the 27th. So I find that quite odd. But we have 2 people from the city of Cibolo who have applied, and I believe there's 1 from Schertz that's going to apply. And we would like for you guys to consider sending a recommendation letter to the city of Green Valley SUD, recommending that we have better representation on the Green Valley board. You guys are customers of Green Valley, as are we in the city of Cibolo. Our fire station number 2 is actually a Green Valley customer. So I would appreciate if you would consider Mr. Inman's item this evening, and thank you for your time. I'd also like one more thing to introduce our newest Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Jim Russell.
Just to be clear for everyone, that's Mayor Pro Tem of the city of Cibolo. Thank y'all for coming. So those are the 3 forms that I've received for public comments. Were there any other commissions, Dee Dee? Is there any correspondence we need to discuss? At this point, we also have a report on board advocacy. This is an opportunity for board members just to share with each other, as well as members of the public, things that they may have participated in over the past month that would be of interest to the remainder of us. So we'll go ahead and start, Mr. Drew.
We happen to attend, me and several board members happen to attend the Exceptional Governance Conference up in Austin. I'm sure others will talk about it, but it was very informative. It was hosted by TASB. During time, learned a lot.
Yes, I continue to do my watchdog thing on Tuesdays at Green Valley Elementary School, and I enjoy that very much. You can find me there on Tuesdays, Channel Green Valley, time 11 a.m. I'll be in the cafeteria. It's a good diet plan in case you haven't ever done anything like that. But you cannot eat anything after you've done something like that. Kids are great. I enjoy it a lot. I also had the opportunity to, in December, I was asked to come into Miss Amy Adams' class at Rose Garden Elementary School and read the night before Christmas. Of course, this was the Texas version, which is quite unique, by the way. And I enjoyed that very much. Kids were really receptive, and they treated me very well, and I appreciated that. Miss Amy Adams was one of my former students when I was principal here in this school district. So, right, I knew her as Amy 5, so some of you may know Amy. But anyway, that's me. Thank you.
Sure.
I attended the Finance Committee meeting and the board meeting for the communities and schools. We're represented, it's South Central Texas, so we meet in New Braunfels, but it covers Kamala ISD, New Braunfels ISD, Merriman ISD, and Schertz-Civil Universal City ISD. And we put together an effort to help serve those children who are underrepresented and by the parental support and financial support. We have a unique opportunity next month because we're having a campus chat at Byron Steele High School, and if anyone is interested, see me. I've got a brochure, and it's a limited number, but it'll be a great opportunity to hear what Communities in Schools does and from some of the students that have been through it. I've also attended the board meeting, and that was just today, the chamber meeting today, and that's a great opportunity to be out in front of community members. And I went to the XG Summit, the Exceptional Governance Summit in Austin, and that was a fantastic opportunity to learn what we're doing right, and not knowing that we're doing it already, but also to learn what else we can do.
This past Saturday, I attended the bar, Ms. Trammell was there as well, the Bar Y fundraiser, and that's a group of people that have come together from this district, this area, to help raise money for all those showing in the Wildwood County Livestock Show this week, so to support Cibolo Creek FFA, and that was great to see many SCUC kids were there as well, and that will be going on this Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, this week in Seguin.
Yeah, just real briefly, I also attended that with Amy this past weekend, and I'll just give a shout out to our FFA kids. I mean, those kids are always so well behaved. Even the younger ones. The
4-H and FFA kids that are in our area.
Yeah, it's kind of an unsung program, but I know the staff members from that also work incredibly hard. I mean, we have the Ag Barn over there in Cibolo, and again, those kids probably don't get near the attention that they should, but it's a quality program from top to bottom. Also attended the governance program with Mr. Westbrook and Mr. Perkins, but before that, the week before, Texas Education Agency had a 2-day seminar sponsored by A.J. Crable, and I don't know if he's a friend or an enemy of public schools necessarily, but he's kind of out there doing seminars for the bottom 5% districts, I call them, and trying to get them to change the way they do things. And I just thought of interest, I'd go to that just to see what he's telling them. Hopefully we never get to that point, but you know, he's talking to them in terms of just the impact that a school board can have on student achievement. You know, impact good and bad. And some of those boards are having a bad impact in their local districts. And the thing he just wanted to focus in on was student achievement and how we as a board, while we do spend a lot of time on things that are necessary, you know, whether it's the roof of the building or who we hire to be a concrete contractor or whatnot, to never forget that our primary role is to do whatever we can to help propel student achievement. And that's either proactively doing good things or refraining from doing bad things. So that was basically the gist of his 2-day conference. So, anything further from board members? Gibson? Anything else? Okay. All right. That being the case, it's now 7:04. With the board's permission, we'll take a 10-minute recess, and we'll reconvene back here at 7:15, and go ahead and proceed with the meeting. Okay. 7:15, the board is going to continue on with the board meeting. Next item we have for board discussion, ESC Region 20 overview of the AQF ratings and board consideration of related resolutions. Gibson and Dr. Goldmark.
Good evening. Yeah, we have invited Dr. Jeff Goldmark, a resident of the city of Schertz, and also the executive director for ESC 20 to give a factual presentation. So I just want to really encourage everyone to not shoot the messenger. If you have strong feelings, not saying you do, but you might have strong feelings. He's here to just educate us tonight. Seriously, not necessarily in support of, or he's just a part of the organization that helps us understand this system. We appreciate him being here tonight to help us understand.
Thank you. Dr. Gibson, President Inman, Board of Trustees, I appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk through the current A to F system and kind of just give you a big picture overview of where we are in the state in regards to A to F, what the timeline is that's associated with the implementation of A to F, and how this may or may not play out in the legislative session. As Dr. Gibson stated, I'm on, point of order, I guess, is I'm on this agenda item as overview, and then it says and board consideration of related resolution. The resolution is separate, complete, separate agenda item specific to the board. I'm here just to share the A to F information. And
Right. I'll share the resolution.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I think it's good to start with kind of a big picture overview, where we are and how we got here. So the last legislative session, House Bill 2804 was passed. And in that legislative session, there was a call to form a Texas Commission on Next Generation of Assessments and Accountability. And the purpose of this commission was to really look at the state of Texas, our assessment program, and the current accountability system, and to get some input from key stakeholders across the state about where do we want to head as a state in regards to assessment and accountability, what are the roles of assessment and accountability in the state of Texas. And out of that, what the commission had to do was to send this report to the legislature for consideration. And there are actually elected legislators on the committee. The committee was chaired by our neighbor here, Comal ISD, Kim Andrews, superintendent. And there were 9 recommendations that came out of that. One was to consider an individualized integrated system of multiple assessments using computerized adaptive testing. That's one recommendation. Number 2 was to allow the Commissioner of Education to approve locally developed writing assessments and to do away with the STAR writing as it exists. Number 3 is to support the continued streamlining of the TEKS, the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, so to get us to a place where there are fewer standards that our teachers are responsible for teaching and our students to learn. Number 4 is to limit state testing to the readiness standards. So currently you have 2 types of standards. The readiness standards are the ones that are indicators that the student is ready for the next grade level, and ultimately in high school shows that they're ready for post-secondary readiness, whatever the next step would be for students, whether it be workforce or college or military. Number 5 was to add college readiness assessments to Domain 4, and I'll talk a little bit about Domain 4 here. So to really think about what role could SAT and ACT play in showing that you're college and career ready. Number 6 was to align the state accountability system with the Every Student Succeeds Act, which is the reauthorization of No Child Left Behind. Number 7 is to eliminate Domain 4 post-secondary readiness for state accountability calculations for elementary schools. That'll mean more to you in a minute when I get to that one, but it's basically doing away with the elementary requirement in Domain 4 that you'll learn about in the overview here. And then number 8 is to place greater emphasis on growth in the first 3 domains of the accountability system. Currently, 1 domain looks at growth. This commission was suggesting that we look at growth in 3 of the domains. And then lastly, to retain the individual graduation committee option for graduation. And that is a bill that was passed the last session that allows a group of stakeholders to sit around the table and determine if a student should be allowed to graduate if that student has not passed one of the state required assessments at the time of graduation. So those are the 9 big kind of recommendations the commission put out. And the reason I'm starting with that is because that occurred in the same bill that required us to implement an A to F system. So the A to F system looks like this today. So this is in development with an implementation date of 2017, 2018. So Domain 1, so let me just kind of walk you through. Domain 1 is student achievement. And that's what we think about when we think about the tax test that came before STAR, the cost test, teams, tabs. It's just overall how our students are performing on the state assessments. Number 2 is student progress. So how are students progressing from one year to the next? Number 3 is closing performance gaps. How are students doing? How are we doing in closing performance gaps of subgroups? So low socioeconomic is one in particular that we're looking at here. Number 4 is post-secondary readiness. So how ready are our students for post-secondary options? Again, that's entering into the workforce, entering into a 2-year or 4-year, or enlisting in the military. And then Domain 5 is the community and student engagement, and that's the one that every school district in the state of Texas determines and sends out a survey and gets feedback from stakeholders, and then you determine your rating on that particular domain. So as you can see, the way it's set up currently, what the state's considering is domain 1 or 2, whichever of those 2 grades is better for your campus or your district, and domain 3, and domain 4, and domain 5. And you see the percentages where 55% of your overall rating would come from domains 1 through 3, 35% would come from domain 4, and 10% from your local accountability system. So remember, every campus gets a rating and the district gets a rating. Each of these domains is assigned a letter grade. Those letter grades then move up into one overall grade for the campus and for the district. What was released recently was only a letter grade for each domain, and they didn't move forward as far as calculating an overall grade for each campus or district. And a reminder on domain 5 over here, the community and student engagement. What you look at there as a district is you look at how is our fine arts program doing, what about wellness and physical education, community and parental involvement, 21st century workforce development program, so how are we doing in preparing our kids for 21st century workforce? Second, language acquisition opportunities, so that would be like the dual language program that you have here. Digital learning environment, so how are we equipping our kids to be able to live in a digital age, digital environment. Dropout prevention strategies, how are we doing at preventing dropouts and how are we doing recovering those dropouts? Education programs for GT students and compliance with statutory reporting and policy requirements. So you look at all 9 of these and you gather some data locally and then you assign yourself a grade for that domain 5. So all those then go into calculating the overall grade for the campus, for each campus and then for the district. So I want to walk you through this timeline because this is important because some things will happen in this system and it will look different than it looks today. And there are a lot of different opportunities for that to happen. So the 85th legislature convenes for 140 days with the regular session ending May 29, 2017. The legislature required that A-to-F report that they received a couple weeks ago be sent to them just prior to the session beginning so they have that information for consideration of what they want to do with the A-to-F accountability system in this session. So there's still time to have some input to fix it. And as you're hearing in the media, a lot of our school districts are pushing against it and saying that it's a bad system and that it really needs to be reconsidered in this session. Late January, additional tables, reports, and training material will be provided so that we can continue to help educate the school districts on how this system works. February, final decisions for 2017 accountability. So we have a current accountability system going on right now. We continue to live in that accountability system. We're either going to be met standard or improvement required. That's what you're living in right now. Those levels will be set for that system for this school year, and that will be your accountability rating for the 16-17 year. This system is your accountability rating for the 17-18 year. Summer of 2017, districts and campuses report to TA which of the 3 indicators that they choose to use for domain 5. So back here on domain 5, while there are 9 indicators you look at as a district, you choose the 3 that you want rolled into the accountability system. So you likely choose your top 3, right? By August of 2015, the 2017 accountability ratings are assigned, and again, that'll be the last time we use those, where you'll either be met standard or improvement required for the 16-17 school year, each campus and district. Spring of 2018, districts and campuses assign themselves a rating for each of the 3 indicators using domain 5, and an overall rating of A, B, C, D, or F for domain 5. Once that is assigned, by August 15, 2018, TA assigns each district and campus an overall rating of A, B, C, D, or F, and a rating for each domain beginning with 17-18 school year. So once you assign and let TA know where you landed on domain 5, they use that as 10% of your overall grade and assign a grade using these other domains. So I just want to quickly walk you through the 4 domains. So currently, in our accountability system, we have 4 indices. So index 1 is now going to become domain 1. And I want you to focus on the red letters here, okay? So student achievement, what they're going to look at is STAR, grades 3 through 8, and into course, STAR scores, basically. Currently, the labels that we use are unsatisfactory, satisfactory, post-secondary ready, and advanced. What's being proposed right now is that these move to the right-hand column. So does not meet, and then I think you could put grade level behind that. Approaches grade level, meets grade level, masters grade level. There's a lot of pushback on this language right here. CASA just released something today indicating that they think that this miscommunicates to our public, because the public might read this as if you're satisfactory that you're just approaching grade level, when really satisfactory means you're on grade level. So again, these are just out for discussion right now, but this is what's being proposed as of today. Index 2 currently will be called Domain 2, and what this looks at is progress. All right, so STAR progress and progress for our English language learners. So basically what this is looking at is standardized test scores, how does students perform from one grade to the next, so there has to be a beginning grade level. So when you're a third grade, you could have a third grade reading score at STAR, and then a fourth grade reading score, and you can see growth. But there are some tests where the assessment is not given every year, so you can't assess growth of those. So it becomes really limiting in what you can. And also, when you move on to end of course, you can't compare Algebra 1 to a geometry score. All right, so the student progress, there are limited assessments available to measure student progress. That's Domain 2, and the way this works is, here's a graph that you could kind of help you understand how this will work. So if in third grade you were at approaches, and you hit approaches again, that's your expected growth, so you get 1 point. If you move from approaches up to meets, then you get 2 points. So if you move up 2 steps on the ladder, you get 2 points because you exceeded your expected growth. So your expected growth is to be at the same level, and that gets you 1 point. If you do not have growth, then you get 0 points. So it's 0, 1, 2. Index 3 currently, moving to Domain 3. This one's about closing performance gaps. Currently, this looks at your 2 lowest subpopulations, and Index 3 determines how much growth has occurred for those students. Currently, the way this one sits, it's only looking at low socioeconomic students, and it's a regression analysis, so it controls for poverty. So if you look here, on this average line of best fit, the percent of students on pre-reduced lunch. Let's take a look at the top one. So this student up here, you're expected to be right on this average line in orange. If you perform above the average, this campus would have received a B because they actually performed above the average in the blue section. Where down here at the bottom example, although absolute performance is lower, this campus would receive a grade of A because they exceeded the expectation for how they would perform. So this one has actually a linear regression. So it's a little more, this one has been received a little more positively than some of the others because of that. But that's about really paying attention to how are we doing with different groups of students in our school. And then to Index 4, we'll move to Domain 4, and there are several words I want you to focus on here. This is about college and career readiness, post-secondary readiness. So how ready are our students to choose one of those options upon graduation? It's really difficult to find an indicator for these for elementary and middle school in particular. So currently in elementary school, the only thing they have is chronic absenteeism. Because if you're chronically absent, you're more than likely not going to be ready for the next grade level and ultimately ready for post-secondary. Middle schools, they have chronic absenteeism and dropout rates. So what that means, though, and what the caution here is if you go back to this percentage, in elementary campus, on Domain 4, 35% of its overall grade would be based on absenteeism. Absenteeism does run along socioeconomic lines. So our Title I schools tend to have poorer attendance than our wealthier schools, and that's a reality. And so the pushback right now is that 35% of an elementary and middle school grade would be based on basically attendance, because there are no other indicators that we can find that would be appropriate. So what I'm hearing right now is that there are some bills, I think a couple have already been filed and some being proposed, that elementary, definitely elementary, and potentially middle school be removed from domain 4, and domain 4 be a specific high school domain or indicator. Because look at the other things. So you've got graduation rates, dropout rates in high school, coherent sequence of CTE courses. So that's when you take several courses in a row that could ultimately lead to some sort of certification or entry into the workforce. That's an indicator of college and career readiness. 12 or more hours of post-secondary credit. So if you take 12 or more college credits, that's an indicator of college and career readiness. Completion of AP or IB courses. Meeting a benchmark on TSI, SAT, and ACT. Looking at which graduation plan that you're graduating on. Those are indicators of college and career readiness. The other two that I believe will make this list, they're not on here yet, but are enlistment in the military and a specific set of industry certifications in specific markets that are high wage, high need, high demand. So those I think will make this list too. So while it's easy to find high school things to make this list, the elementary and middle school, keep an eye on that, because I think that will be the one that will be challenged here coming into this session. And so the way this would work, again, so your elementary schools only on absenteeism, middle schools on absenteeism and dropout rates, where high schools have graduation rate, graduation plan, and then graduates who meet any one of these. And you see how this is broken up. So for the high schools, 10% of their, because remember, 35% goes to domain 4. So for the high schools, 10% of that would be based on graduation rates, 5% on which plan the students are on, and the remaining 20% is on whether or not they do any of these items over here on the right. And I believe, again, you'll get enlisted military and industry certification added to that list. So that's domain 4, and that's one that Texas Workforce Commission and Texas Higher Ed Coordinating Board are very interested in this one. And it's aligned with the 60 by 30 plan that the TEA, Higher Ed Coordinating Board, and the Workforce Commission are working on together to really meet workforce needs in Texas. So again, this is a work in progress, and I think when you read the commissioner's release, that's what he talked about. This isn't done. We're working on this. He has his hands tied on several things here. He doesn't have a lot of flexibility in what he can do. He has some flexibility in what can go into domain 4. He does have to address closing achievement gaps in student progress or requirements that he has. So without a bill to change some of this, this is what will be implemented. And so I think that's where a lot of our boards are really looking at a resolution to really communicate to state legislators where they are in regards to state accountability. Again, there's our timeline. There's still time to act. As of today, that's where we stand. So I'm going to pause. I went through a lot right there, but I'm happy to answer any questions. If you get too deep in the weeds, I'll probably have to defer to one of our specialists, but I'll try.
Thank you, Dr. Goldhorn. Any board members have any questions? Yeah, this isn't about our own specific ratings, but just the rating system as a whole.
Yeah, so here's a copy of the resolution that was just referenced, just for your reference, and I'll just, because of limited time, I'll go down to what was just said, that the resolution, there are all these whereases, and I won't read all of those, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that you just gave probably the best and most succinct explanation of this that I've ever heard, and it's 15 slides in a slide deck with full, it's just every screen is full, and that's the most succinct. Would you agree? That's as pared down as you can get it. So a lot of the whereases in here have to do with something that complicated. Whereas, I guess there was an understanding that we thought the state and even federal government was supposed to tell us whether we either met a standard or not. In other words, we're here to only intervene because you haven't hit a certain standard, not we're going to give you that, and we're going to give you about 47 other measurements about what we think, is the way things ought to be. So that's my characterization of this resolution. It's basically just an overreach. Now, I'm not going to, talk politics here any more than I already have, and I'm not going to reveal my politics, and this might shock some of you, but some of my favorite quotes from when I was in high school and early college were from Ronald Reagan, because he was the president at that time. I remember two of them in particular. One of them was after John Hinckley attempted assassination on him. They were wheeling him into the hospital, and he was still coherent. They were about to put him under, and they said, Mr. President, you're here because you've been shot, and we're about to do surgery on you. And he said, I hope you're all Republicans. That was his comment from the table as he was going in, which the doctor made a very good comment. Today, sir, we are all Republicans. So they did surgery on him. He also talked a lot about government overreach, and I just remember thinking about that, not really understanding that. And when I look at this, I can't help but wonder if something like this is what he was thinking of. That you got a set of rules, 50, 60, 70 rules that you have to hit when here sits a school board that was democratically elected, and I thought it was y'all's job to tell us whether we were doing a good job or not. So I'll just leave it at that. I provided the resolution. Dr. Goldhorn did not. Everyone saw that. It came out of my hands to the board. If the board is inclined to do something, I hate to say this, but you almost have to take an overreach step. Even if you are inclined for them just to tweak it, because of statewide government doesn't move in fine-tuning, it moves in these big, not like a sniper, it's more like a bomb. You got to blow up the whole thing, and then ask for it to be rebuilt. And I hate that that's the way it is, but that's really the way it is. That's why this resolution says repeal it all and start over. If you want to know, that's why it says that, but that's why. It's just saying stop it and let's start this discussion over.
I'm not above or beneath saying something that might sound a little political. Anybody that knows that. But, the thing that slays me on this system that they have come up with, it's like they don't want to put too much work into it. We're just going to do enough out there and see how that works for a little while. Then we'll have to fix it. So that's great. That's fine. The thing that really slays me on this, though, is that we get condemned by certain state representatives and state senators for being a one-size-fits-all system. We're told that all the time. You guys need to do different because you're a one-size-fits-all system. And yet, what do? They come out with a rating system that tests you for being a one-size-fits-all system. And if you're not a one-size-fits-all system, then you get knocked down for it. So my question is, what do you want? Do you want us to be a one-size-fits-all system? Then quit rating us like a one-size-fits-all system, because when you rate a school district based on one test taken by a large group of students who various backgrounds, everything else. Now, our students really do well on the test. They do. But they don't get credit for it because it's one test, one day, and that's what they get rated for. They get rated for it, the schools get rated for it, and the district gets rated for it. And it's beyond me why they want a one-size-fits-all system, because that's what they have here. If they want us to be above and beyond the one-size-fits-all system, then give us the wherewithal to do it, and quit rating us as a one-size. Give us the spectrum, and we'll get there. But we need to know what you want. This doesn't tell us. I'm sorry. That's me.
Well, we didn't let Jeff get it. It's going to feel like we're saying this ad.
No. Jeff, in no way I'm saying this to you. Believe me. I'm saying this to whatever's out there that's listening.
We do think, and you can, if you want to, in case there's any other comments. We do. That was a very, very succinct. That's about as succinct as I've seen it done. So well done, and thank you for that. The resolution is not an action item tonight. It's just being presented to the board. I thought it would be silly to hand that out or put it in a board update without the context of the conversation, basically. So that's what's not the purpose of tonight's election.
Can I just say two things? Well, contract. I look at our two last belief statements, which is, we believe the measure of success goes beyond standardized testing. And I sat in this room many years ago and was one of a parent participant there with educators. And that is what our community feels like. And if you looked at Mr. Goldbarn's, the star was highlighted, I don't know how many times on that standardized test. And the second one is, it's defined by the local community, and we get a sliver of 10% is looked at that community engagement. So I am all for the resolution because I feel like unless we've got to speak up where the local community that's represented and we don't agree with that, then, you know. And I know there's going to be people that move here and go look at that A through F system, and that is not what our schools are reflective of whatsoever. I've worked a ton in Oklahoma as an educational consultant, and it has ruined that state because they're on an A through F system. So that's how I feel about that.
You know, and we did relatively well overall. It's just beyond me why we have to go through that. You know, and you're right. The thing that's going to happen is that somebody's going to look at that not knowing anything about our school district, and we're going to be judged by that. Our students are going to be judged by that, and that's wrong. It's just flat out wrong.
Okay, so the intention tonight was to be able to ask Dr. Goldhorn detailed questions about the program itself. So we're looking to have this back on the agenda for next month. The legislative session is already beginning, and I know plenty of other districts around the state are already signing up on this. But does anyone have any objection to bringing it back on next month's agenda? And again, that'll give us a little more opportunity to think about how this impacts us, how it's impacting the state, and then if we've got more questions about the resolution itself, you know, we can certainly cover those next time. Everyone okay with that?
Yes.
So give me time to think of some big words to use.
I think in this presentation, I think your presentation, it said February 17th, 2017 is when they're going to come to a final decision, or what day in February? Does that fall before or after our school board meeting?
Well, that's for accountability decisions for this year's accountability using the existing system.
Okay.
So those decisions are specific to 16, 17.
Okay.
And I want to mirror what Dr. Gibson said. I read a lot, and Dr. Oliver, that was a great explanation. Many people should see that because that was straight to the point, explained everything.
Well, you know, the agency was charged with putting together an ADAP system that was simple, that parents and community could understand, but then it had all, to your point, Dr. Gibson, had all of these pieces in that were required, which made it impossible to put together a simple system. So I think if you do your homework and you look at the other states that have implemented ADAP, like our friends do, or I think it's obvious how this would work, and what you end up with in a lot of places is ADAP neighborhoods, because ADAP schools result in ADAP neighborhoods, and those lower end neighborhoods tend to be our low socioeconomic areas. So, you know, that's the talk right now, and I think if you saw Brian Wood's piece in the paper this weekend, he kind of called up the legislature on that. So it'll be interesting, but we'll be happy. I know that we're working some with Dr. Edwards too, and share some resources too. I know his team's working on kind of, you know, really learning this. We're all learning it together. But if you do want to do more of like a work session, get into the weeds a little bit on it, we're happy to. I'll have someone who really can get into the weeds with you and answer a lot of like methodology questions and that kind of thing. So I'm happy to do that.
We sat with him for 2 days at the governance conference that Mr. Westbrook mentioned. He can get in the weeds. The methodology and jump ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, we sat with him.
And Dr. Gibson, who basically authored this resolution?
Yeah, I don't know if it was one of the school boards at the Genesis, probably in conjunction with TASA and TASB staff. One of the first few school boards that came out. They went from 10 to 250 in the last 2 months, or 60 days or so.
Well, I just don't, with the board's permission, I wouldn't mind us gearing this more towards our particular district instead of using, I hate to call it a cookie cutter resolution, which it arguably is to some extent that everybody signs off on, but kind of to David's point, I mean, quite honestly, we got very good ratings. So we can sit back and say, well, we got good ratings, let's just let this slide, but this is more about looking at how this impacts the whole state and how it truly affects us to some extent too. So to plainly state that, although we're not complaining necessarily about how we were rated, necessarily, we find that the system isn't good as it should be. So actually go through it and put some things that are specific to us.
Yeah, I think,
More credibility, I would call it.
well, I think that, what I've heard were two things tonight that I think resonate with me, what you just said, and then our already adopted belief statements that were done through a community process. I think adding those belief statements to this localize it for us.
Everyone okay with that? Okay. All right, before we move on to the next item, I just want to introduce a special guest. He served on the school board for about 10 years, if not a little bit more, and retired this past November. It's in our front row, Mr. Ed Finley.
He's a Green Bay Packer.
No violence for anyone here. We're a safe and secure school system. Can you show everybody the jacket that you wore up here? Hold it up high.
Be proud of it.
Yeah, be proud.
I can get it to work right. Well, I'll just put it on. Thanks, guys.
Now we can help you put it on.
Anyway.
All right, turn. There we go. All right.
I've been a Packer for 8 years old and not giving up now. So.
Yeah, trust me, he didn't just jump on the bandwagon. I don't think I ever see him without some Green Bay Packer or something on it. So. All right, Ed, thanks for being here tonight, okay?
It's just nice to have the only Green Bay Packer fan in Texas here.
And you need to shop at another store.
There's one more. Raise your hand.
She'll be up later in the presentation. You can take your shot.
All right, thanks, Ed. Next item is the report on the 2014 to 2018 strategic plan report, priority 1. Dr. Edwards.
As we're shutting down, I also want to take the opportunity, as he's exiting, to thank Mr. Goldhorn, not only for tonight, but obviously this is going to be a recurring board meeting agenda topic, so we'll just see you at each board meeting. No, we really do appreciate Dr. Goldhorn coming up, not only just from his representation from the Service Center, but we take our community partners and collaborators very seriously. The Service Center is one that we have a great working relationship with. Many of us could have come up and provided maybe some of the detail, although it was, I agree with everybody, very succinct and very targeted. We appreciate the opportunities to work with those partners, with the Service Center and our other community members on things like this, because as we say amongst ourselves, we're a lot better and a lot smarter together than we are separate. So we appreciate the opportunity to come in and talk with us. As we move into this next part, and it kind of corresponds with some of the things that we've been talking about, because it is an overview on some of our priority goals. When we look at really those ones that we want to target, we came and shared a lot of data with you in, I believe, October or November as it relates to 1.1, 1.7, 1.8, and 1.10. And as we move through it, we definitely want to continue to show some of those things. And as we start out with each one, talking about our mission, our vision, our values, what we're about, our core competencies, or what we continually talk about, and then our beliefs. It's been mentioned several times tonight how our beliefs really guide us and move us. And Mr. Osbeck mentioned those last two in particular, and you'll hear about that, and it will resonate throughout the conversation tonight. And then our high performance, or our priority goals in that. I want to direct your attention to this because this kind of sets the tone. And we talk about our beliefs, and when we look at how the beliefs and really the below the surface, and this is something we talk about each time, and we can't stress it enough. The goals and the events, the scores, the star scores, and all those things. We set goals on that event. It's what the public sees. It's what lies above the surface of that water. What typically we don't see are the things that drive us, and that's what we're really going to emphasize tonight, and not only as we move forward, and we appreciate the commitment on the board on that, but often those beliefs lead to those structures. What are those school structures we have in place? And we shared those at the last presentation too, kind of those big district initiatives, or big things that we know are best practices that are going to get us there. And that moves us to the patterns. What are the things that are happening on our individual campuses, the things that are happening in our individual classrooms? And we're really going to take the opportunity and invited many of our colleagues, teacher leaders, campus leaders, and district leaders to come share some of those things. What are the things that are going on below the surface that are going to continue to move us towards our goals? And so you're going to hear a lot about that tonight. And this is another way to look at that, what people see and what's really happening. what's happening on a daily basis for our kids and for our community and for the collaborative culture that we have. What risks are we taking? What's our focus, our goals, our persistence, fears, sacrifices, habits, and more importantly, the hard work that goes into it, and that's both by kids and adults. We talked previously about we are where we are. The data we showed you, most of those results we shared from several different reports, primarily the TAPA report in both October and December. We talked about we're not okay staying there, so how do we get to where we want to go? And that's going to be part of what you hear tonight. It comes back to professional learning communities, our focus on building that collaborative culture. That's one of our belief statements too. This is what guides the work we do. Again, we're much stronger, much smarter, much better together than we are independently. And then also our philosophy of how we're going to work within our district, and we're going to be as top down as necessary and as bottom up as possible. We're going to work collaboratively. We're going to distribute the leadership and some of the roles and responsibilities that go along with that, and we're going to be a high functioning organization. The things you're going to hear tonight resonate. Focus on critical thinking and problem solving, because without a doubt, if we can have that focus, if we can help our students grow in their ability to critically think and problem solve, these other things are going to take care of themselves. That's the key to unlock the door. I felt it very appropriate in light of our holiday yesterday to quote from Martin Luther King Jr. The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. And this next statement aligns exactly with our beliefs. Intelligence plus character. That is the goal of true education. It felt like that was very appropriate to share tonight. So what we're going to do is talk a little bit about the progress we're making and really the work that we're doing on Goal 1.1, and you can see how each of the beliefs that you see, you're going to hear that resonated throughout. Kids have the capacity to learn. Students have the capacity to learn. Quality instruction addresses individual needs. Engaging, interactive, authentic teaching leads to empowered learners. Embracing different tools to do that, and more importantly, the measures of our success go beyond standardized testing. You're going to hear that in Goal 1.7. As well, and really all the goals tonight. But we're going to focus on those first two coming up. And we're going to invite some folks to come up here and share some information with you. The first campus that's going to go is share kind of what they're doing to help that critical thinking and problem solve. Just one example. The great thing about it is we could ask any of our campuses to come up here and share some of the great things that are happening and what they've focused on and how they're developing their students to be critical thinkers and problem solvers. But we did ask Jordan to come share a little bit. I'd like to introduce their principal, Tina Curtis, and I believe she's going to introduce one of their team members to come up and share a little bit.
Good evening, President Inman, Dr. Gibson, and members of the board. With academic expectations rising and the unquestionable value of 21st century skills, educators must continually think outside of the box and find new, innovative ways to reach students and provide them with the tools they will need for success in the real world. Teachers across the district are finding a variety of ways to do just that. The group of educators who will stand before you today from Jordan Intermediate have found success with innovative teaching and assessment practices known as project-based learning. In May of 2015, this team approached me with a vision for learning that challenged the status quo. A vision that would impact district and campus goals, a vision completely aligned with our district belief statements, a vision that I am beyond thankful that I have chosen to support. I'd like to take a moment just to introduce the team, and then I'll be turning it over to one of the members to share that vision with you this evening. My team: Tiff Bishop, 5th grade language arts; Tony Morin, 5th grade math; Jennifer Wagner, 5th grade language arts; Dennis Howell, 5th grade math; Rhonda Eldridge, 5th grade social studies; and Kara Powell, 5th grade science. So this is where the magic happens, so I'm actually going to turn it over to Tim to share with you.
Thank you, Ms. Curtis. Before I get started, I was told very explicitly I only have 5 minutes, so that's a big deal for me. I want to let you know too that the slides that I'm going to show you tonight, we've managed to try and cram about a 1 to 4 hour professional development into these 5 minutes, so I'll be speaking very quickly, and I apologize for that. I don't mean to sound like the Hot Wheels guy, but I will. Thank you, esteemed board. Thank you, esteemed administrators, and Ms. Curtis for letting me come up and speak. My name is Tim Bishop. I'm one of the founding members of the Green Lantern Corps of the Jordan Project-Based Learning Team. We try and implement a number of different things in our team, but the biggest thing that our biggest pillar that we stand on is this concept of project-based learning. Before I start, a quick rundown of project-based learning. As opposed to us going through a 4 to 6 week unit and then using a project as an assessment, which would take roughly a week, and most of that would probably be done at home with parents because we would have to continue instruction as we did other quizzes and tests. We use the project as the framework for how we deliver instruction. So that 6 week period is the process of researching and developing the project. We found that through this process of getting the kids engaged in the project, our assessments themselves have been more performance-based. So we found that we've actually moved the needle in how we're gathering information. They're no longer just simply comprehending. They have to move into the upper level of blooms and synthesis and creation. So we've been very happy with that. It's also going to be a lot more authentic because they're going to hit bumps in the road. So individual students are finding that they have to be assessed when they need to be assessed, along with definite checkpoints that we've planned in along the way. So we're able to take gaps at a stride, and we're able to get a better snapshot of each of our students as an individual. And we found that in developing these projects, we've been able to actually tie our assessments much more closely to the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. I'm not going to lie to you, our first project, we didn't do that as explicitly, and it was a major flop. We will admit it to everybody, and now that we've developed a better PLC, we can tie our projects and our assessments much more closely to the standards. So I said that in front of all of you, we're much better at it now. One of the things that we also hold to is this concept of 21st century skills. You guys know it better as college career readiness standards. We adopted the 4 C's from the Buck Institute: collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and creativity. These 4 standards, we could talk all day about them. We actually got smacked in the face with reality just recently. One of our teachers just enrolled her student at Northeast Lakeview, and the guidance counselors there talk constantly about students needing to collaborate in order to produce final products for professors, communicate their research plans, communicate during research, and communicate during reflection in order to improve their products for the next go-around. Critical thinking, because we cannot plan all of the problems that they're going to encounter. They're going to have to solve issues on their own. And creativity. If you don't try and wow people, you're not going to end up performing at as high a level as you would want. So when we heard that coming from the guidance counselors, we knew that we were on the right track. By embedding these with the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills into our projects, we feel that we are approaching our students on a much more holistic level rather than simply preparing them for the test they have to take at the end of the year. Now, rather than speaking about the core values of the district, I would just rather turn your attention to this image. This was an unsolicited picture that we gathered last year during one of our projects. This group was having a hard time developing their product. This was taken about a week before a big unveiling where we were going to have about 250 parents at our end of the hallway to see what they were researching and developing. These students decided to gather in a circle. They found their own talking pieces. They led one another through their problems. They found a way to commit to one another that they were going to value each other's voices. And they ended up serving one another by either giving of themselves or giving of something that they wanted for the greater good of the group itself. They all learned both 21st century skills, and when they performed in front of their parents and in front of us, it was clear that they also gathered the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills that we were trying to teach them through the project. So I wish that I had a slide of this group's final product, but it was phenomenal. Now, just to brag a little bit about our team and how effective this has been for us, this was our first year, 2015-2016, and we still maintained above 90% in the STAR passing standards for reading and math. Our amazing science teacher, Ms. Powell, she performed and her students performed at the just above average rating for the science test for the district, and we're very proud of that. We're really working hard as a team to figure out how we can push that needle even further up. We had overwhelmingly positive feedback from parents, and that was something that we did not solicit, and that's something that we're very proud of. We also developed some, through some hiccups here and there, we've developed some really good PLC cross-curricular planning processes that we love sharing out. Goals moving forward, we want to go ahead and strive to be a bit ambitious and move our reading and math up to 92% of our students passing at meets or exceeds standards. We would want to maintain this positive feedback, but this year we're really working hard on getting you a quantifiable data point through different surveys on what our parents think of our performance as their students' teachers. And we're also trying to now become highly actualized at those PLC processes. It's very important that we stay efficient and become more efficient as we go through planning. At that point, I think I managed to do it. How did I do? All right, we're only like 20 seconds over. So thank you very much. If there's anything that I have left vague, if I can't answer it for you tonight, I would love to host any of you at the school because we believe very much in what we do and we believe more in our students.
We did a lot of recognition of students earlier. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't also thank the other Mr. Bishop for being here to support his son and his first
My dad
presentation
came.
to the school. I'd like to recognize Mr. Bishop. Appreciate that, and we're going to tie some of these things together, but at this point I'd like to invite folks from Clemens, Stephanie Martinez, and Cynthia Ward to come up and share a little bit about, you've got a kind of an intermediate or elementary perspective of that, also moving into high school. How are we focusing on those two goals at the high school level?
Hi, I'm Cindy Ward, and good evening, Dr. Gibson, Mr. Inman, President Inman, and all the esteemed members of the board. I want to talk a little bit about our story and about why we did what we did this year, which we started with some results that we got in May, and we know we have awesome things going on our campus. If you've been on our campus, seen our kids, you know we have the best kids in the whole state of Texas. So we were very puzzled by our ELAR results. And we have done lots of stuff for critical thinking and problem solving and really wanted to know why this trend is going down, because it's not indicative of what we see. We didn't even wait for teachers to get back on our campus because we wanted to find out from them how do we do this, what do we do? We're writing this campus improvement plan. And we knew we had to take it to the teachers. How do we get reading and writing and critical thinking and talking in every classroom so that those kids know that this is the expectation of you on any type of test, but also in college and career readiness. So Stephanie Martinez was the first teacher back before the teacher started. And I just have to let her tell you the next part. Because we could not have done this without a teacher leader moving us forward.
Good evening. Oh, have height difference. I'm Stephanie Martinez. Many of you know me. I am an English teacher. Thank you, Dr. Gibson, President Inman, and the members of the board for letting me be here. It was really interesting. I wanted to approach Ms. Ward and Ms. Sosa about an idea that I had. I was reading a book called Impact, or On Impact, and I approached them regarding a specifically completely different topic. And I said, we have a strategy, or we have an idea, an area, an opportunity that we really want to talk to you about, and that's the short answer responses on the STAR test, or what were on the STAR test. And we'd like to talk to you about maybe looking at reading and writing across the curriculum. About that same time, the Impact team started to develop, and that was a group of cross-curricular teachers coming together, sharing best practices and strategies, which has become a really dynamic PLC where we kind of plan outside of our once-a-month meeting where we're communicating across email and other things, and even text messages at 7 o'clock at night. But as the year progressed, or early in August, I did a professional development. We looked at some data because data tells a story, and we started to train teachers and teach teachers. And the learning that's occurred in that time period has been profound. Teachers are learning with and through one another. They are building critical thinking skills with our students, and it's impacting curriculum not just to improve what we thought was going to help us with the STAR scores, but is really developing in those CTE classrooms, in social studies classrooms, English classrooms, science, math hasn't really gotten started yet, but that's challenging, we're getting there. But it's really just building a curriculum or a community together and supporting one another. And it's been really humbling for me because I'm learning so much about my peers and so much about the process. And if you look here on the screen, you've got some data for you because who doesn't love data? And it talks to you about where we are as far as who's trained and what percentage of that training is actually practicing reading, writing, and thinking together. And this board's going to talk to you. And before once she's done, I have testimonials for you.
So we want to make sure that the state has taken out our short answer response. And so moving to supporting teachers with a strategy to read and write in any curriculum, we felt the shock that I think the rest of the state felt, but we knew we were doing something right. We knew that from teachers' experiences, from what we're seeing kids do, that we were doing something right. And so it applies to how our juniors are going to do on SAT. It applies to how our career and technology education teachers are implementing reading and writing and talking in their classroom, just so that kids can get deeper involved in really questioning and understanding what's going to be asked of them in the future. So we're going to end this with just some testimonials of some teachers and what they're saying about reading and writing in the curriculum. So thank you.
Thanks, Jess, for sharing that. A couple of things that I want to just make sure that we point out that Ms. Ward presented, and it came out earlier tonight. One of the things they mentioned on the EOC start was that just out of the blue, a couple of weeks ago, there was a decision made that the short answer response portion, the English 1, 2, and in some cases 3 portion of those assessments, they were going to take them out. Just all of a sudden, on a Friday, they came out with, hey, by the way, this is going to change. And this is what we constantly deal with. And it kind of goes back to the A through F system that we talked about earlier. It's something that we just constantly have to flex with, but it caught everybody off guard. The thing that we immediately did is we pulled together as district, campus leadership, and teacher leadership and said, you know what, we know that the short answer responses, the abilities to teach kids to think critically and write and express themselves in writing is important. And so we drafted some information together and shared that our commitment isn't about an assessment. Our commitment is about teaching and learning, and we know that to be a valuable strategy for teaching and learning, a research-based strategy. So our commitment is to continue that process. And it's just incredible to watch that happening. And again, we just chose a couple of our campuses to share some of that. Those are the type of things that are going on all over. And to take you back, we talked about a lot of data previously in the spring semester, but just kind of to show you some of our trends and where we're going. And this is the data that, if you'll recall, it wasn't going to come out to the TAPA report, and so it wasn't included in that last presentation of 1.1, 1.78, and 10. So we want to show you some trends as it relates to this. Now remember, all this data is lagging data, so this is from the class of 2015. But you can see, and this has to do with just percent tested. This is going to change significantly in 2 years when last year's junior data is reported out in a couple of years because of what we mentioned previously, the SAT during the day. And many of us have had students that have had the opportunity to take advantage of that. So participation for us, for all practical purposes, we're going to expect close to 100%, at least 90% or better of our students to be able to participate in an SAT or an ACT. But you can see the trends there and how we compare across the state and our region and moving up. But we start looking at this, some of the percentage tested at criteria, and you can see we're on an upward spiral. We're well above where state and region is, and we continue to climb. We've got the momentum going with us on that. When we look at our average SAT score, same situation. We continue to grow on that, far surpassing the state and region, and these are things we're very proud of. And then also with ACT, when you look across the board, we have momentum going. We have that trending in a positive direction. And the reason we brought our intermediate and our high schools together is because both of what they discussed really hits on 1.1 and 1.7. Because obviously it's preparing our students to be successful from those that struggle, teaching them how to critically think and problem solve through situations, those that are on level, and those that are excelling. We look at preparing students for college and career readiness as that being a K through 12 system, and in some situations pre-K through 12 systems. The things that we're putting in place in 5th and 6th grade, and even earlier, are going to continue to prepare our students to show improvements in these areas. You don't all of a sudden start focusing on, you may talk about SAT and ACT in the high school, but that really starts in that grade level, and that's why we wanted to pull those two pieces in particular together to show you that we're working on critical thinking, problem solving, we're working on below level, at level, and those that are advancing across the board. The other part of this is sharing a little bit about Goal 1.8 and our commitment to ensuring that students are reading on level by grade 2. And we'd like to invite one of our ELA coordinators, our elementary ELA coordinators. Serena, would you come up and join us?
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Edwards. Good evening, Dr. Gibson, and Board President Gary Inman, and esteemed board members. Okay. I'm presenting on 1.8, and so far for 1.8, if you take a look at the graph, in blue you'll see January 2015, middle of the school year. In red you'll see January 2016, middle of the school year. And in green is January 2017, middle of the school year. And you see kinder is our first set of graphs, first and then second grade. So in the middle of the school year, January 2015, for kinder we were at 58%, and then for 2016 we improved to 68%. And for this month, January 2017, we maintained at 68%. For first grade, January 2015, we were at 52%, and then January 2016, we improved to 72%. And we maintained in January 2017, and we're at 72%. For second grade, which is where our goal is tied to for 1.8, in January 2015, we're at 56%. In January 2016, 78%. In January 2017, this month, we saw a bit of an increase to 80%. So that's a celebration to me. Increase of 2%. Any increase is a huge celebration. So some of the things that we've been doing to help move our goal 1.8 into the 90% is really speaking with teachers to see what they need as far as support and learning. We've done some professional development on campuses through monthly campus visits through the PLCs, and we support the campuses through the PLCs, looking at the 4 essential questions, but also providing little mini professional developments in those PLCs that really helps to build the teacher's capacity. And so one of those professional developments was TEKS alignment, and just really breaking down those TEKS and truly understanding what the TEKS are asking our students to know and be able to do, and really understanding what the depth and rigor of the TEKS are. We hear depth and rigor a lot, but we've never been formally trained on what that depth and rigor looks like. So really working with the teachers and understanding how to tie in the student expectation with the knowledge statement, as well as the metacognitive strategies that go along with the reading through Figure 19. Some of the things that we've learned through our diagnostic tests with students and just speaking with teachers is that our students really, their fluency is really suffering. And we know that fluency is a bridge to from decoding to comprehension. So we put together a series of trainings for our teachers on reading fluency. And the first training was done in October and was an online training. We had about 40 teachers sign up for that training. And it just basically went through what is fluency, why it's important, and why should fluency instruction take place in the classroom. And then we had a big fluency training that happened just on our January 3rd PE day back. And that really offered strategies that teachers can implement in the classroom to help build reading fluency. And then guided reading is another component that teachers have been really asking for training. So we have guided reading 1.0 that just rolled out actually today. And it's an online training. We have more than 50 teachers signed up for that. The other components that we've kind of had some focus on is iStation, and just really building teachers' understanding of what iStation has to offer. The different components of iStation, the resources, and then also attaching some goal setting to iStation. We found that some of our teachers who have had success with iStation they tied goal setting with their students, just in teaching them how to set goals, and how to reevaluate themselves when they get back their information from iStation and then set additional goals from the information that they get back. We also had a winter book study that just rolled out for the Literacy Playbook, and that basically is helping teachers to answer that question, what do I do with the data? We often look at data, we look at data, but we don't know what to do with that information. So the Literacy Playbook is helping to answer that question. You have the data, so now what do you do with the data? How do you analyze the data? And what information do you use from the data to help differentiate instruction? And then we have our instructional coaches who have been just phenomenal on our Title I campuses. They are the bridge between the coordinators, the English language art coordinator and the math coordinators, and they've helped to support teachers in training and development, and they've pushed into classrooms, they've provided lessons for teachers, they've provided resources for teachers, and they've also helped teachers just in building their own capacity and learning. So some of the things, that's what we've done so far. Looking ahead, some of the things that we're doing is developing an SCUC ISD literacy framework that really outlines what literacy looks like in a classroom. Any classroom that you walk into on any campus, what does reading and writing look like in a classroom? And within the literacy framework, we're also going to be developing components of reading instruction. So reading workshop, guided reading, and what those really look like in the classroom. The other things we're looking at is a phonics program. We want to pull in some teachers to actually look at our phonics program across the district. Right now we have different programs that are happening at different elementary schools. Some schools are doing phonics dance, some schools are doing foundations, other schools are doing Fountas and Pinnell. So we really want to figure out what components should be in an effective phonics program. And if they're going to use a phonics program, then those components should be in the program so that we know that's going to be an effective program for our students. And then really looking at word study as well. Just like with phonics, we have different pockets of things happening across the district as far as word study and language and spelling. So we just want to make sure we're providing equity in that area to our students as well. For professional development, our teachers are very eager and they are willing and wanting and needing professional development. So we're thinking about different pathways that teachers can go through professional development. So one of the things we've implemented is online professional development, where they have different modules that they can take online. And that's been very receptive because teachers can do it from home in their pajamas, and it's really at their own pace. So just like the guided reading 1.0 that we just did, it started today, but teachers have until the end of May to complete it. So they get some time to go through the modules and complete it. And then really looking at the 5 components of reading instruction as well, and providing some professional development on that. And then phonics and reading and writing workshop and guided reading. And then we also have a summer book study coming up and the book is Comprehension Connections. And that's to tie in those metacognitive comprehension skills that students really need to know and be able to do. And it really ties into Figure 19 from our TEKS, where sometimes those often get forgotten about because they were forgotten about when the TEKS were first developed by the state. So just tying those in and really showing teachers how to incorporate those into the classroom. All right, any questions?
Appreciate that. And then finally, have the opportunity to come back and talk to you a little bit about Goal 1.10. And you see there the beliefs and how they align with our beliefs as well. And for this part, we're going to invite Mr. Light, our Director of Fine Arts, to come up and share some of the work that we've been doing in this area.
Thank you, Mr. Hammond, Dr. Edwards, and board members. Talking a little bit about Goal 1.10 there and some of the things that we've been doing this year. This goal to me is 2 separate parts. There's the 90% part and then there's the high quality part. Just the 90% part, we've been doing real good in that in years past, and we're continuing to do some of the same things. We do a survey at the end of the year of all of our 7th through 12th grade students to we ask them things like, what are you currently participating in? What would you like to participate in? What would you like more information about? It gives us an idea of where the students are, but more importantly, it helps us connect students to existing clubs and organizations that are currently on there. We can get that student's name to a club sponsor and get them locked into a club or an organization to participate in. It also helps the principals. There's questions on there about students that have an opportunity to say, well, this is what I'm interested in, would like to do, and then the principal can look at that and say, well, we don't have a club or an organization that really addresses that, and then they can go out and look for ways to maybe implement some kind of club or organization like that. So we're still collecting those, and we'll continue to collect our participation numbers and hopefully have some firm data for you on that at the end of the year. But that continues to go well for us. The second part of that I wanted to talk to you about tonight was the high quality part of that. I guess that's been a big part of our focus this year on that. Some of the things that we've done some targeted professional development opportunities for our fine arts teachers. Had an opportunity to bring some people in, talk about instruction, brought in a gentleman to work with one-on-one with our band staff in their band classes, do some mentoring coaching there. Very successful, very well received, made a definite impact on instruction right away. You're aware that we had the Fine Arts Department audit, got a lot of great information there. A lot of items we were able to really just tweak and fix right away, and then there's just a lot of things in there that's going to guide our continuous improvement over the next 3 to 5 years probably. Some long-term, long-range plans included in that as well. One of the things we were able to do at the beginning of this year, with your support, was we actually added one intermediate staff member, but the way this worked out with cooperation with our intermediate principals, we were able with that one new position to reallocate a lot of different classes that had a huge impact on the instruction in all of our intermediate art, choir, orchestra, and band classes. And I know that may sound bizarre to say that, but it honestly did, and it made a huge impact on those art and choir classes in particular. So we're real excited about that. That's going real well. Our orchestra program continues to grow. We're doing a pre-UIL evaluation. This is a festival where we kind of do a dry run before they go to UIL. We get some feedback from some outside consultants. We've done that in band for a number of years, and we're going to do that in orchestra this year for the first time. We're excited about that. And more than anything, we're just continuing to work on aligning our instructional practices. We're having ongoing conversations about trying to connect grades 5 through 12 and how are those teachers aligning those programs and using the same terminology to make sure that we're bringing our students up in a sequential manner that we want to. Of course, we're all excited in here about the EPP program and the new instruments and equipment. I get the pleasure of delivering many of those instruments, and so you get all the work approving all that money, and then I get all the glory delivering the instruments. But it's been a lot of fun. But I'll tell you, everybody likes new shiny things, but it really does improve instruction. It's not just new and shiny, and it really does improve instruction. In a lot of cases, students have better working instruments. I was reminded, thinking about this today, of a parent I ran into whose son had gotten one of those instruments, had been playing on an instrument, a school-owned instrument, that probably should have been retired more than a decade ago. And, some days it worked, some days it didn't, and it sure didn't look very good. And they got one of those brand new French horns and came home with it, and the pride that student had. But, you think about that, with that pride, they're going to take care of that, and they're going to be much more motivated to work hard and try to improve and to learn more. So it really does have an impact on instruction. And then you can see we've got some art equipment and some much needed storage and cameras and things like that. We continue to have stuff coming in throughout the year. And then finally, I wanted to mention again, high quality, some of our clubs and organizations. I have some pictures there of the Games Central Club. Got some recognition. And this is kind of the model of how we want our clubs and our clubs outside of fine arts and athletics to work, to be really not just a club that we can say they were a member of a club, but one that we can really be proud of. Again, just another story, looking at some pictures of this and preparing for this. one of our intermediate teachers saw a picture of this Game Central Club, and I mean, and I won't use names or anything, but pointed out a student, said, I remember I had that student in intermediate school, and they really struggled, and it was hard for them to fit in, and they were really struggling academically. And now they're a part of this club, and they're excited to come to school because they've got a reason to. And I can almost guarantee you that kid that's doing so great in this Game Central Club is also doing so much better in his math and science and English language arts classes as well. So this is a model. We want not just to have a club just so that we can say we have a club, but one that is really engaging our students and getting them excited about coming to school. Thank you.
Thank you, Shabbat. As we kind of, I guess my one thought is, I know what grade I would give us on those things, but I'll just kind of keep it to myself. It centers back around this. What we continue to hear with all of those groups is that collaborative effort, that focus on learning, that focus on collaboration, the focus on results, and the focus on growing leaders. And that resonated throughout our campus staff as well, and focusing on those four things. And another quote by Babe Ruth talks about the value of team, and teams are different than just a bunch of really good individuals. It's a group that works together, and that's kind of aligns with our motto for the year when we look at teamwork, engagement, synchronicity, and perseverance. And what we know is if we can get all people in the organization rowing in the same direction, we're going to dominate. We're going to dominate education. We're going to dominate education for kids, and we're going to be able to teach and motivate and have kids think critically and think at high levels and be those problem solvers. Several things, and we typically do this, and I'd be remiss if I didn't, to talk about or just kind of show the leaders that are help leading this, from our district leaders, certainly our coordinators, just doing a fantastic job in being a support system for our campuses, and then also our campus principals that continue to work together with us and collaborate with us on those best practices for students. So that is our overview. I know it took quite a while, but this is good stuff. So we wanted to share that with you. We do want to open it up if you have any questions for myself or any other team members.
Thanks, Dr. Edwards, and other members of the staff. Any trustee have any questions or comments? Mr. Grimm?
It's interesting, going back to 1.8, because Ms. Westbrook and I were just talking about cognitive comprehension right before we started. Yeah, I had to write it down to me. Real quick, and I usually don't talk too much, but this is one of the times I actually feel like talking. As a father, one time my son was running, and his first play in football, he scored a touchdown. And he ran over to me and he said, "Did you see me score a touchdown?" I said, "Yeah, but you didn't run the play that we called. You ran something different." And then one time he was in basketball and he stole the ball and he runs. He goes, "You see me steal the ball?" I said, "Yeah, but when you went to shoot, you missed." And one time he said, "What do I do right?" And you start thinking, I sit there and for me as a board member, I know Dr. Gibson and Dr. Edwards see a lot of times of when hey, why aren't we doing this? How come we're not doing this? A parent asked me about this. And this is just one of those times when I really think that we do it right. I think, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I think we have the best teachers. I think we have the most passionate and dedicated staff. And I've always said, even when I ran for office, is if we just give them the resources and the parameters, I guarantee that we have the teachers that can make things happen. And this is just an example of that. And I just like to say thank you for all y'all for all y'all do.
Thank you, Mr. Westbrook. I would only, on one of the slides, and you don't have to try to find Dr. Edwards, you guys, when they made the presentation from Jordan, they talked about having the 4 C's that you guys, and one of them was creativity. I would challenge, and all those teachers I think left other than their principals. The fourth one was creativity, but I didn't see the art teacher. And you guys mentioned that you developed a piece of PLC in cross-curricular. I saw that a couple of times. I think that's another new buzzword or something that I think is fantastic that you guys are doing. But I can't think of anybody on our campus that's probably more creative than the art teachers. Possibly, that's out there, So I would challenge that if the campuses aren't looking at those resources, and I say things sometimes, and we know I'm married to an art teacher, okay? But I think that we don't utilize those type of resources to realize that they do teach our children. You know what I'm saying? And they would be the one on the room going, how do we problem solve stuff? We're all educators are problem solvers, I know that. But if you're gonna have that there, it might be a challenge to say, look at those other teachers as well on that campus, because they probably have a lot to contribute to. So especially when you're looking at problem solving, I know that they do build their curriculum around whatever the social studies teachers teaching. I know that my wife's teaching some sort of art when it comes to whatever the social studies folks are doing, or trying to teach something in math or whatever. So it's going on. It would be nice to see that I challenge you guys to do that. Thank you.
Any further?
Yep. This past week at the Exceptional Governance, I think they talked about the 8 effective habits of a successful board or in a school district, and one of them was creativity. And so it's good to see that you're mentioning creativity, because I think that was also mentioned in, I think the convocation speech that we had last year. So collaboration, communication, critical thinking, creativity, and sort of the big picture. On impact, Ms. Martinez, is that a Leadership Academy book, or that was your own personal book?
I was reading that on my own, sir.
That was on, okay, good deal. Because I know you graduated from Leadership Academy, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good deal. Then, I think there was a big difference for Serena from 15 to 16. You don't need to bring it up, but the fluency level from 15 to 16 to 16 to 17, you just want to see the trend. I guess for the most part, kinder, most of them went from 16 to the first grade to the second grade. You saw a trend upwards, and I think that was positive. What I asked about the guided reading and the reading fluency, could you explain that one? And then line instructional goals. I saw the cameras, Mr. Light. So how many cameras did y'all get? I think for high quality, I saw the picture.
Yes, I believe each campus this round got 4 new digital cameras for their digital art classes.
And the Game Central, I know it was on Corbett and Dobie, but is it on the high school level also?
We have a few that are working on that. Ms. Poole may be able to talk about. I believe we have Game Central or Game Club at Clemens, and I believe, actually, I think that it may have been Steel that also run that in years past to help fund some of that as well, because that's the kids who move up.
Exactly, they want to continue. Thank you.
I was just going to say it was great to see the 5th grade cross-curricular, like hearing that cross-curricular coming back. Everything cycles. Everything's great. I had a question on the reading professional development. I think it's awesome being able to do it online, those modules. Is that just for, I know our goals for 2nd grade, but is that for just elementary or up to, some of that?
How much professional development?
Yeah, like the online and or is it just more aimed toward those lower grade levels?
Right now, we have it through 6th grade.
Awesome.
I can tell you that's another competition that curriculum and professional development is having in coordination with technology on some different platforms and systems that we can use to enhance some of those opportunities for staff and for students.
Awesome.
So kind of going back to the impact of technology.
Yes, as I was saying, not just for our students, but for our teachers as well. And then, Ms. Martinez, thank you for bringing the teacher testimonials. I love reading those as well. So thank those teachers that participated and gave those to us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I'd like to thank you guys. Thank you, audience member. We appreciate you staying and listening to our presentation. We don't have an audience this big.
Thank you very much. Next item is a report on the review of timelines for superintendent's summative evaluation and preliminary list of 2017-18 superintendent goals. Go ahead and start, Gibson.
Well, real simply, in the next 2 report items and then 2 discussion items, we can fast track or not. There's not a lie.
You can turn to page 29 of your agenda. I'll show you the timeline.
And these are things that we brought up before, but there's a timeline in here on the last step of the timeline on page 29. Mr. Inman and I were just sidebarring, we need to make a notation that we changed the February board meeting from the 21st to the 16th because of the legislative conference that we're going to talk about in just a little bit, so that timeline would need to modify for that. And then Mr. Finley's here, and similar to the process Mr. Finley and I use for dry erase board, I'm writing my goals, getting ready for this. Mr. Inman and I do likewise. And, you know, these are some pretty hefty goals. They're on page 30. Just for the, you know, record, this is a draft. So it's the first time that these are being mentioned. And it's, again, it's a report item, so the trustees, please take these with you and ponder them and send myself and or Mr. Inman any questions or communications you have. But I'll go ahead and read these real quickly. Begin exploration and community-wide communication plan for tax ratification election for 18-19. So these goals are 17-18. So you do, in 17-18, you prepare for 18-19. Begin the exploration of a District of Innovation or DOI designation for 18-19. Again, I'll send out supporting materials for each one of these items. Explore, and the key word or operative word there is explore, the consideration for an ISD or school district charter school, possibly kindergarten through 4th grade for the old Rose Garden building. Again, 18-19. So we're going to have a building that's going to be vacant at that time. A consideration to explore a district charter, which was allowed, I think 2 legislative sessions ago. There was an establishment of school districts being able to start their own charter to be competitive with charter schools. So I think it is a conversation worth having. Then a small detail, rezone elementary schools for 18-19. Merely a blip in the radar of life. New strategic plan ready for implementation in January of 2018. That's for the 2018 through 2022 strategic plan. Strong consideration to convert to a partially self-funded insurance plan. We're headed that way. I'll soften that language a little bit in this camp because it just says do it. But I mean, we're still exploring it, and if it's the right option, if it's the best bad idea we have at the time, then we're going to do it. But there's no good ideas on insurance right now, but we're trying to find the best of all the options available. This says develop, and that's a bad choice of words. Again, this is a first draft. I'm going to say continue to refine robust CTE long-range plan because you saw the evidence of those graduation plans earlier. But we really only started with that. We want to make sure that continues. And Mr. Wilson and my recollection was you kind of echoed this. I think we've done children in America this service by acting as if everyone needs algebra 2, 3, 4, 8, and 10, and we're going to be physics majors in college. I mean, there's nothing that says that that's for every child. So this is talking about making a robust plan for every child, career readiness included. And then noted the election timeline, and there's a May 2022 should be the last bullet, not 2020. I apologize. That was my fault for putting it on there that way. So this November, there's a board election, as you're well aware. Then in November of 2018, the consideration for a tax ratification election. In May 2019, it's Wayne's World again, back to bond election that we have scheduled on our 10-year plan. November 2019 board election, and then May 2022, the next bond election. And then I'm committing to continue to work with the executive coach to further develop a culture of continuous improvement, collaboration, accountability, execution, performance excellence. So those are the first draft. A few little goals for me to consider for next year.
Just as far as the evaluation goes, so Dee Dee, you can send out an email on Friday with a link to superintendent evaluation instruments.
I'll send the email, and I will also put PDF copies on Outlook so that if you want to look at it before you go on to actually complete the evaluation, you can do that.
Okay. So we're basically about 2 weeks. You want all those submitted by January 29th?
Yes, they're possible.
Okay. Dee Dee, don't give them if possible. Do them on the 29th.
That was for you, Mr.
Thank you very much. We'll work there. I hear you. So then we're going to have a board meeting on the 7th, which one will actually do the evaluation. Yeah, that should be the only item we have on the agenda that night, correct? Yeah, I would just encourage each board member to give some time and some thought to this, and this is one of those important things that we do each year. And, better we document it in the instrument, and the better the conversation we're going to have during the evaluation itself. So Does anyone have any questions about the process? Okay.
Good, I will be with you on the morning of the 7th, so don't panic. Okay. I'm at another meeting with her that morning. We just realized, yeah, it's a Dallas Austin shirts, Dallas Austin shirts plan that day. We can do it.
Okay, nothing further. Next item on the agenda is the update on the preparation for the 85th legislative session, primarily about the TASB Legislative Conference.
Yeah, we, just to confirm, we have several trustees noted in the board book that have registered to attend. One thing today, and at least one of the teachers that was making the presentation tonight, and this is something that's pretty new, and we're just exploring this. We may wind up taking a second vehicle because we have this great conversations team that you all have heard of, and we're going to ask 2 of those teachers from that team to join us in our visit to the Capitol. I think it'll be the first time ever that I'm aware of that any district has had board members and teachers together, and all they're going to do is add a component, from the teacher's voice that was consistent with the great conversation message. So they're just going to add that to our conversation. I'll send you tomorrow a draft of our 6 legislative priorities that I've gleaned from our conversations for you all to peruse, and then to, I guess, approve. It's your discretion if you want them approved or if you just want them discussed on February the 16th before we head to Austin on the 12th. We'll decide whichever way you want.
And Didi, I believe that conference is free, right? That's my understanding.
Yes, and we have pre-registered.
Yeah, it looks like on page 32, we have all the folks that are currently registered to attend, and if anyone else wants to attend, Didi, take care of that, I guess.
Yes, go ahead and send us an email.
And we are planning to drive up and back in the school view.
Is anyone going to who's going to be responsible for actually scheduling times with our local representatives or
who could
schedule that?
Actually, Priscilla's been working on that. The only one we have scheduled right now is 3:30 with Representative.
We're waiting to hear back from staff on all the names.
Any further questions on that? Next item on the agenda is the 2017-2018 school year calendar. Dr. Gibson?
Yeah, tonight I would like to give just a brief, very brief, because we actually have called our district improvement committee back for an additional meeting, which may be the last one, may not, tomorrow at 4:15, to just work on some details of the calendar, and I'll send out a copy of where we are at that time. What it really boils down to is because of where January 1 hits in the week, the structure of the week, if you try to take what we've traditionally taken the 2 weeks off, it throws our 9-week grading periods off pretty substantially. That's really the bottom line. So we've got to kind of just figure out, what's the best plan. So tomorrow we're going to look at 3 different options. We've zeroed down to that's the issue. We're going to look at 3 possible scenarios for that. It's kind of interesting. You can look at a couple of other school districts that have already approved their calendars for next year, and they're different. North side and northeast, they're very different. And, one's not right, one's not wrong. It really comes down to, we're trying to make sure that the will of the community, as best we can determine, is matched with, what our teachers believe to be best for instruction and our administrators. We'll have a meeting tomorrow, Mr. Inman, and with our district improvement committee, and then out of that, I'll send a communication to the board. Ideally, we would like action on the calendar at the February board meeting, but we'll get it out tomorrow to make sure the board has everything they need. And any questions that you may have for the next 20 days.
Any thoughts or questions?
I already have had parents asking me, trying to schedule folks who have to take vacations, schedule pilots a year out, since we have quite a few pilots, and so, mainly just because they want to be off with their kids. So I know the sooner the better for even you guys scheduling professional development.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. February really is for that reason and many other reasons, budget reasons, projection reasons. If we could get this thing on February 16, voted on, so whatever it is, that solves a lot. We're going to go with another round of staff feedback, and we'll feedback really brings them into the board.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the discussion and review of the initial estimated budget projections, 2017-2018 budget development process.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Inman. And in the spirit of, we seem to be with some momentum here, so I'm going to try to keep that going. Page 37, as you see, Ms. Justinia and Ms. Maloney are at a conference, so I'm not going to go into a lot of the details with respect to the projected revenue and projected expenditures tonight, other than to say one of the biggest drivers for us is our student count as far as our receiving our funding from the state. And so we're paid on a per student basis, basically. And we're still sitting today at about 180 students under our projections. Now, that doesn't mean we lost 180 students. Someone said that the other day, and that's not, we just didn't gain, we were projected to gain 600 and we gained 420. So, you know, that, you've got to, you know, be aware of that. Also, Gwen, is it fair to say our demographer is saying, don't you dare panic because you have 894 flats that are in the final stages right now, and the worst thing you can do would be to take an overreach, you know, the other direction, saying it's cooling down, and then here we are a year from now. Yeah, we're 200 plus instead of 200 behind. So we're really trying to be very, very cautious about this next step. The fact remains, if we finish this year at, let's say, 150 students less than we built the budget on, whether we like it or not, that amount of funding is going to be less than what we projected. So we've got to fund that. We don't, that our mode of operating is not just, we'll move it in, we'll square it up, you know, 5 years from now, 3 years from now, whatever. So we're working hard right now, and Lynn, I'll just give a real concrete example, freezing some of those fast growth positions. They and she and the principals did a really good job of getting existing staff moved around. You guys had already approved some positions. When we freeze those, then that gives us kind of a $600,000 plus to the budget that we know we can count on against what's coming up to be $1 to $2 million deficit. It's not really a deficit, that's not fair to say, but under what we thought it was going to be. We just got to try to address that. So this memo will plug in numbers. If I had to give legislative, it's always safe to say we never really count on anything from the legislature. So that I'll go ahead and say that. This year in particular, there seems to be two things working against us, even more so than normal. One is about a $2-point-something billion deficit that the comptroller says that this budget is that much less than the budget we had the last biennium. That's it. I guess I could say that's a fact. It's a fact that he gave that projection. So that's a fact. Then the first $5 billion of the rainy day fund accumulation by constitutional amendment from the last, and it was approved by the voters, goes to highways, and that's fact. And I've been stuck on the parking lot known as I-35, just this week. And so I'm in support of more highways for a state that's growing, several hundred thousand citizens a year. I think we should, commit money to the highway system. But that, now I'm putting my school superintendent hat on, that's working against us. Because we're $2 billion under the projection, and $5 billion of what we don't have is being given to highways. So when you start out, you've got your back against the wall. And we have a speaker in the House that said we owe it to our children to fund public education. We can fix this without a gun to our head from the courts. It's great rhetoric, great rhetoric. I love it. I'm not going to hold my breath, until we see, I hate to go Jerry Maguire there, but until we see the money, we're not going to, we'll believe it when we see it. So tonight, that's just a quick overview, and we have our first draft. And Mr. Chairman will probably try to ask the trustees for March for approval for this, and we have about 60 days to provide feedback. Anything you see?
Any questions on that? All right, next item. Discussion expenditure projection plan for asphalt repair at Byron Still High School.
Good evening, Mr. Inman, Dr. Gibson, members of the board. What I have before you is a maintenance item for repairing the part of the road structure at Steele High School. I believe there's a picture of it attached to the item. that shows the area we're looking at. So basically, we're looking at the area that begins from the turnoff at the tennis courts, wrapping around to the concrete sidewalk that leads up to the stadium over there. If you've driven that road anytime lately, you can see that we've got some pretty significant issues over there. And so we are currently in design on that project, and then hopefully get some good news on some different design ideas on what's the best use of the money we have for that area, and come back with a good plan and get some repairs done. Questions on that?
Okay, and you're looking to bring this back for action at the February board meeting?
We will bring it back in February for action on the project, and then procurement will happen after that. So.
JD, is there any concern, I'm sure you looked at this, or is there any concern about flooding? If there's a parking lot there flooding from, runoff of that parking lot or the parking lots around it into the baseball stadium or any of that area?
We haven't seen anything like that yet that I'm aware of. The asphalt itself right now is really a condition of what they call pumping. And so our wonderful black soil that we have, as it gets wet and then we have heavy vehicles drive over it, it's moving that asphalt up and down, and that's what's happening. I haven't seen the flooding is occurring because of it.
Thank you.
Anything further? All right. Next item is the conveyance of an easement to GVAC at Samuel Clemens.
Hello, Mr. President, Dr. Gibson, members of the board. This is a discussion item tonight for Guadalupe Valley Electric Cooperative. They requested an easement to provide utilities in the future for support of our portable building placements at Samuel Clemens High School campus. They'll be extending a line across the street from the library, across Elmore Road, on the district property. This is just a discussion item tonight. We plan on bringing this back for action next month. This will provide power for the portables that could be placed in support of the upcoming project that will come to us.
Question on that? Okay, thanks, Matt. Next item is discussion letter from SCU-CISD, Green Valley SUD Board of Directors, requesting appointment of a utility rate payer from the city of Cibolo or the city of Schertz to fill the recent vacancy on the Board of Directors. Just some history on this. Councilman Jay Hogue, who came and spoke earlier during public comments, approached me about a week ago about this topic. Admittedly, don't know a whole lot about it. I don't exactly know where the Green Valley SUD district boundary lines are. But apparently the board's run by seven members, and they were just concerned that there were unfortunately not enough members on that board from the Schertz-Cibolo area. And he just thought it would be of interest for us to do a letter to them, asking them to at least look into or give some consideration to appointing another member for this side of town, for this side of the county. I believe they do have a vacancy. They're soliciting applications. Again, it's open to anyone who lives in the entire district. And he came and spoke to it a little bit about it here tonight. So I know we don't normally get involved in what I call other local politics, so to speak. But we're not even being asked to support any particular candidate or anything like that, or cast your votes for this person or that person. It's more or less just give us some consideration and take a serious look at appointing someone from this part of the county. So the draft letter, which we can change if we need to, is on page 48. And does anyone have any general thoughts about this?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we did also post this as an action item because we had approved that last bit that was shared that there may be some action. So that's not our protocol, but if they're going to do something in 2 days, we wanted to give the board an opportunity.
Yeah, that's action item C4. Okay. So you just vote on the letter as is. We can modify it to some extent. Anyone have any thoughts or comments on that?
That whole way to the action.
Anyone want to make a motion?
We'll just wait till the action.
Well, yeah, okay, so that's discussion. Do we have any further discussion on that item? Just for the sake of keeping everything together, let's go ahead and move forward to the action item on that. Action item C4, request for board approval and authorization for the superintendent board president to send a letter to the Green Valley SUD based upon the discussion we just engaged in. So, do we have a motion on this item?
104.
105 or 104. 104, 105.
I move that the Board of Trustees approve the,
I move that the Board of Trustees authorize the Superintendent and Board President to send a letter from SUCISD to the Green Valley SUD Board of Directors requesting they appoint a utility rate player from the City of Sidlow or the City of Church to fill the recently vacated seat on the Board of Directors.
We have a motion, we have a second.
I second.
Any further discussion?
I'd like to comment. You know, I go back to what you originally said, that we usually don't get involved in other politics and stuff. So, you know, I'm just not for us sending a letter to them. I'm for us sending a letter for educational purposes, but sending a letter for our support or non-support of something. The taxpayers get to do that. You know, the ratepayers get to do that. Yeah, I think we are a ratepayer. You know, I mean, we do, we get water from them, I guess, for some of our schools or something. So I guess it kind of goes both ways, you know. So I don't know. We've had a really good record of not being involved in those kind of things and sending letters out to other municipalities just telling them what to do and how to do it. I don't know that we ever solicit or take letters when we have a vacancy. You know, and I've known over a couple of years, we've had a couple of members vacate the board, you know, over the time that the board's been here. So we just usually deal that with amongst ourselves. And I'm not aware of the board ever receiving letters from a bunch of elected officials advocating doing something. You know, so I don't know. I can go either way. I mean, if the board wants to do it, then the board wants to do that. But
Yeah, I think those are definitely valid points. And part of the reason I decided to kind of move this forward was just, I guess we are a customer. Secondly, I guess he said that he'd already gotten his city councils for shirts and Cibolo to do something similar. And just in light of that, I thought it'd be something we'd, you know, put our 2 cents worth in. But yeah, I certainly agree with you. We normally don't get involved in.
We are. I know we've had issues with them before, especially when we were working with Slaughter Intermediate School, and you know, trying to, because we get water to Slaughter through Green Valley, and maybe even Cibolo Valley. I'm not sure, but you know, that area there is a lot of Green Valley water supply, and I know we have a lot of. We are involved quite a bit with Cibolo Valley, or with Green Valley. And we've had some issues with them, but, you know, I'm kind of like Mark, you know, I hate for us, because we're I know I've said some things tonight that you would not think we're non-political. That's me talking, not the board talking. But the board is a non-political group, and we've had opportunities to send things to the state of Texas that we have not sent because of trying not to get involved in the politics of things. And so, you know, I think in that vein, I'm a little concerned about it too, but as Mark said, and I agree, you know it's going to be a vote, so.
Mr. Chairman mentioned this earlier. I don't think we would have put this on the agenda if it was to pick one person over the other. It is, they have the opportunity to appoint. So we're just saying, well, if it's wide open, you know, there's some people that live in Cibolo, and there's also.
Yeah, I think we're actually 3 candidates in this area, so to speak. So yeah, definitely not. We're just, and we're really not saying, it's just kind of give some extra consideration to someone who's sure to 7-Eleven. Yeah, I'll certainly understand that point back and forth.
If we do decide to do it, I would recommend that we change the wording in the middle paragraph that says we do believe that you, the board, have a wonderful opportunity to recognize the growth of Church of Louisiana by appointing a director for one of these 2 cities. And in the very next paragraph, we would be honored to assist you in your efforts to seek. I think if we're going to do it, we just leave it at the second paragraph that says, I mean, if we do choose as a board, just leave it, hey, we'd like to appoint someone from one of these 2 cities, but leave out that we're going to assist them in any way in their efforts to.
Basically take out that last paragraph as well as that last sentence?
Basically. Just saying, hey, if you're going to pick someone, pick it from our area, but we're not going to help you.
Let me leave that last sentence in, I'm sorry, I misread it. So just basically take out that 3rd paragraph?
Basically.
I think that's fine.
I think that's
So in light of that, can you make a motion to amend the original motion, deleting that paragraph?
Okay, I make a motion to amend the original motion to remove the third paragraph, any reference to us assisting them with the selection of a candidate.
Okay, do we have a second
I
on the
second that.
amendment? Okay. Any discussion on the amendment? All those in favor of Mr. Clear's amended motion, raise your right hand. You know, for your own motion. We'll put it on the amendment and then we'll move forward with the whole thing. Okay. This is solely on the amendment, to strike that paragraph. Okay, any opposed? Okay, so that motion passes 4-2. So now the letter looks as it does without that third paragraph. Okay. Now we now have a motion on the table to pass that. We have a second on that as well. Do we have any further discussion on that?
My only discussion is, and not trying to throw a kink in it, Mr. Westbrook wasn't eligible for the vote there. I think it probably needs to reflect that because he'd stepped out of the room. Because the record's going to show 4-6 or 4-2. We just need to run the record that he wasn't here to vote.
Unless he comes back through the door the next day. Okay. Any further discussion on this item?
I'm torn as well because I feel like we're getting in, we're kind of overstepping, what are we here for? I always think, what are we here for? The education of our student, well, but we are one of their ratepayers, so I agree with Mr. Wilson, Mr. Peterson as well.
All right, so we now have a motion on the table with a second to pass this motion with the letter redacting, deleting paragraph 3. All those in favor, raise your right hand. So that's 3. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
All those in favor?
All those opposed. I'm sorry, all those opposed. Okay, so the vote is 3-3, and that basically means that that motion fails. Okay, so we will not be sending this letter. Right, okay with that? And just let the record reflect that Mr. Westbrook was busy doing something else. All right. Moving on to number 10. So discussion, board consideration, and consensus on discussion items eligible for action. So correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Gibson, but looking back through these items, we're going to do the superintendent's evaluation here on February 7th, correct?
Correct.
Calendar will most likely come back for action in February.
Yes.
Okay. Budget parameter memo, we're really not going to approve that.
We'll probably record that again.
Okay. Asphalt repair will be on the agenda for next month. That's the assumption. Yeah. So all of these are going to go on the consent agenda unless we decide to pull it.
I would prefer not to have the asphalt one. It doesn't have a dollar amount at all. It didn't have even kind of a.
Yeah, you did, didn't you?
Was there a dollar? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. 300 or something. 300.
Okay, there was a dollar, then that's fine. Then it can go to consent.
And if there's any money left over, can we donate it to the city of Sharks to fix the street up front? That's another topic. That's another issue. Okay. That'll be on the agenda for next month. Conveyance of the easement will be on the agenda next month. And we're not going to have anything further with regard to green boxes. Anything else on that?
Oh, the resolution.
And the resolution for
That was asked to be brought back.
for the ratings.
For the acre.
No, I just prefer that one to be on an action item, not a consent. So we can actually have a separate vote for it. Okay, sure. Okay. All right. Anything else on that? Now moving on to the consent agenda items. It's item B, 1 through 8. Would anyone like to pull any of those for specific discussion? All right. Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. President, I move the Board of Trustees approve the consent agenda as presented 1 through 8 on page 52.
Second. Yeah, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. All right, let's move on. Action items, a request for board approval, final design for San Rico Clemens High School renovations and additions. Bruce.
Good evening. As we have seen this from previous months on some updates, I have tonight the final design to ask the board for approval so we can move forward with finalizing the bid documents, hitting the streets, and going forward for obtaining bids for the Clemens renovation and addition. I'd like to preface it with, this is a project of undertaking that I don't think has ever been taken as big a scope of the district to consider a major renovation as such. And in doing so, that there are many pieces and moving pieces into this that we have worked through, but I'm sure there's some that are going to pop up on us too. So, like what I've told the staff, there's going to be a little bit of pain, and at times there's going to be a lot of pain. And it's a big project involving a lot of folks, and I just wanted to not go through it too fast, but we've seen this. Not a lot has changed. I just kind of wanted to show you the evolution of where we're going and kind of move through it a little bit faster than normal, but to give it its due diligence as well. So, again, the existing site plan, Clemens, I think we're all familiar with what we're dealing with here. The stadium to the east and the ball fields and Jerky Parkway to the west. So, currently, the existing campus, the picture on the left looking from Bell, this is the front door currently. Here's Beer Gym, and as you circle around, the CTE buildings, D&E wing, and then science. So going through there, now this is all the big, what we're going to do and tear it all up and stuff, but to give you an idea, those areas in red are the areas that will be addressed as demolition and going away. So starting with the canopy at the front door, moving around, having the CTE area, including the greenhouse, as well as the demolition of the current auditorium. All that not at the same time. I want to be clear on that. What we're basically doing is starting in the CTE area and then circling around the start. I just want to kind of give a pictorial representation of the areas that will be going away and then being replaced. The picture here shows what's existing in kind of blue and then what's coming back new in gold. So you can see the addition to the front, the beer gym addition, the choir and locker room addition, not beer gym, the practice gym, sorry, and then the auditorium. Coming around, you see the CTE building. These are all areas outside the envelope, and then inside you can see the internal courtyard area that I'll have a rendering for that. On this site plan as well, I think you can see the additional parking along Elbel here to assist with that, as well as in the back corner of this area for parking spaces for the campus as well, to lend some flexibility and some opportunities for parking for students as well as staff and visitors. So here's what the renovation of the campus will look like. If you recall now, here's the additional, the add-on of the auxiliary gym, the locker rooms and event entry on the first floor, and then on the second floor, the choir and dance, the auditorium, and then moving around, you have the CTE building, the new CTE. What you don't see are the internal renovations, but then here you see the addition to the front. If you recall, it's the classrooms moving west to east to the front door, admin area, and then counseling admin area to the right of the front door. Again, this is the color pictorial of what I just showed you, except you can see the internal pieces as well. This is what my preface was about. There's going to be a lot of things going on in multiple phases and multiple pieces. So it's not all in one. And trying to get a handle on this at times is going to be very challenging, but we feel very confident that we have a plan now to where we can get this accomplished. So looking at this picture kind of gives you the idea of what we're talking about on the outside. On the inside, you can see the classrooms in orange. This is the student areas, the admin in the yellows. And then this is also teacher resource area, lounge area, and then the science, the HOSA labs, culinary arts below that. And then you have the B-wing, classroom labs, and classroom renovations. We were able to also, through some very diligent work with the design team and with staff and input, and also deal with some ROTC renovations in this corner as well. So having some ROTC office space, renovating it, not to the same point of what Steele has as far as space, but they still have the same areas, including the larger classrooms that can combine in the classrooms as well as the shooting range. So the CTE shop with STEM and wood lab, welding. If there's questions as I'm going through, please stop me as we go through here. We've seen, this is the ROTC renovation that I was talking about. Their storage areas, their office areas, locker rooms, boys and girls, and as you drop down into that new wing, here's the combi rooms with the movable partition for the firing range and then the classrooms here. Going across to the front of the campus, this is the admin area, so where you have administration on the left-hand side as well as on the right-hand side. The thought process is principal and assistant principal with support here, registrar, secretary. On the right-hand side, counseling components, special needs there, and then your nurses area above, followed by some testing rooms with some lockable storage, and then the teacher workroom and waiting area, because if you recall, we're taking this idea of moving those classrooms that are out in those portables, they're coming in and utilizing that because of the combined space, the floating concept. So eventually we're going to have some floating teachers and they need a place to go. And this is one of those areas that we are calling for I'm calling it a bullpen, so to speak, but basically some workstation areas, some flexible space in there as well. And then some special needs close to the clinic, the nurse's office. So culinary arts, right smack in the middle where the existing auxiliary gym is. So this is that C corridor coming through. Front door is at the bottom and you're going towards the dining center. So you have the science rooms and the culinary arts onto that space. The computer labs and art rooms in B wing. And then this is the first floor downstairs between beer gym and the new auditorium. So the event center is this entrance here on the east, and then moving in. So you have the PE and athletic locker room areas here with enough support space to handle PE as well as other sports that are thriving, so to speak. So like the tennis areas and whichever athletics fields in there. There's more than enough spaces in there with the locker rooms, with the cages, etc. So then you have the concession stands and custodial area here. Practice gym with minimum seating along the wall. And then the auditorium. So the auditorium coming in, the seating area, here's your stage, and then your backstage areas with the curtain representations. A black box, dressing rooms, and then support area for the scenes, the scene shop area there. There's also a remote office space here. Thinking of that event entry being a major entry point for students, circulation, so we added that area in there to assist staff for supervision purposes. And then you can see there's a classroom in here as well. So we're trying to, with the flexibility of the campus, what's available to us, we're trying to grab every available space and trying to see what we can do for that area to have classroom space available as well as the idea of safety as best as we can. So second floor, kind of in the same area, is the new wing with the classrooms. Again, the labs, HOSA on top of culinary, more forensic science labs, and then the computer labs as well here. And this is just a layout of the HOSA area with the shared lab space. You have the Justice and the HOSA lab across the halls. It's kind of that combined area. Classroom wing addition, second floor classrooms, second floor computer labs and B wing. And then this is on top of the locker room, you have the dance and the choir room, with their locker room spaces as well. And then the auditorium, kind of on the second floor, basic look there. So on the next couple slides, moving forward, want to caution that some of the things you see material-wise may or may not be as detailed as what it may end up. It's the conceptual, not conceptual, we're past that. But we are looking at stone columns, but the detail might be a little different. We might use larger brick. We might see a different detail here. So just as FYI, what you see may be a little different than what we get as we move forward. So this was, going through that, this would be the front entry, the new front addition, baseball field far left. So looking left to right, this is the single story counseling area, and then the admin area with the classroom additions on top. This is a secondary entrance into that back corridor for admin, and then here's your front entry for the main campus. Now on the east side, this is what we're looking at. You have the gym space on the left, your event entry in the middle, and then your auditorium on the right. Just a long look, or back further look at that to see the actual size of what we're doing. You can see the height of the auditorium on the right hand. Rendering of the CTE shop, looking at it from Buffalo Drive. So you're looking at the back of the Career Technology building. Career Technology shop building. This is the internal view. You're looking at it from the back of the campus. So if you're walking out of the science wing, looking out towards the Schertz Civic Center or the baseball field. The baseball field would actually be on the back side above that roof there. So that was not a CTE building from the south. That's the stairway at the D&E wing. And then the bridge connection from the event center to the main building. This version that you're seeing here is the enclosed version, which would be an alternate. We're going to look at doing that as an alternate. The base bid, it'll be an opening enclosure where you still have guardrails. It'll be just an open connection there. So this will be second floor to second floor. Another view of that. And then the enclosed stairwell on the west side of the science wing. If you recall now, that's an exterior stairwell. So that aids in the circulation. Just another view of that. And then this is that vacated area from the existing auditorium now and capturing that outdoor seating space that staff and campus was asking for. So this is a rendering of what we're looking at doing out there with the sunshades and available seating. And it doesn't have to be these type of tables, but that's the idea of having this space available for outdoor seating or during the lunch times or during just regular off time, not off times, because I know they're all trying to learn during the day, but those times when it's needed to have outdoor space there, maybe even some flexible learning areas. I'm learning out there. So the front entry inside, this gives you kind of the idea of what we're looking at. You have the check-in station, the buzz doors. This, in the back corner, this is an existing stairwell in the mall area now, so you kind of get that idea of the depth of how far we're coming out to where you can get into where the students are for the circulation. This is the entry. You're looking, the doors to the entry side of that event entry is onto the left. You're looking at the gym addition, and then this is the stairway that goes up to the second floor where choir and dance is. And then coming around to the front of this would be to the right, would be the auditorium. Another view of the stairway going up. And then the auditorium, inside of the auditorium. You can tell we followed the kind of the concept of the steel look and the feel with a few changes into that, but have to put the same amount of seating for practice gym. In case that comes up, the sun marks on the floor are not going to be there in real life. There won't be glare. You won't be glaring looking to take a shot or play volleyball. So that's just on there for the effects. It's a different glass now, so it won't have the glaring effect. So the schedule for this project moving forward, if approval is given to go forward with this, as you can see here, starting in February, putting the newspaper advertising out construction documents published, and we moved forward, receiving bids late March, evaluating even later in March, and then recommending the general contractor to the board in April with a May 10th notice to proceed. We had originally tried to bump this to April, but we took our time on a few things and also did not want to impact the testing calendar to an effect of where we're blowing up part of the campus during testing. So moving it back to May, we hope we can alleviate some of that anxiety. So then part of this, in first summer, there will be a major shutdown of the campus. And with that is basically everything considered A, B, C, D, and E wing will have, as you see here on line 1, electric, water, HVAC, data, nothing's working. We're replacing a lot of the infrastructure in there for those utilities. We'll be looking at working through and moving the fiber location for the fire alarm and the internet and fiber access, starting the demo, and then also working on the front entry and demoing that front canopy to get ready for the addition to the front. So you see here in June, there's a lot of new stuff happening on the exterior area, but we also need to get some things done underfloor, which is a shutdown. So we're working with campus and with the district on that. Starting in July, we're moving a portable to the back of the campus because in essence, both sides and the front of the building will be very minimum access. So we're going to flip the campus and have the main entrance to the back. And that's a life safety issue. We're working with the city of Schertz with that as well. So we're hoping to have an admin portable back there, as well as a office area. This line 2 in August, having a remote admin office area completed in there for the start of school. So after that fun summer, we're hoping by January of 18, we'll have a new CTE building to have the students move into, and work will continue on the envelope side, on the east, west, and south. And then in June, we have the utility shutdown part 2. So same thing, campus-wide, finish out anything that may not be completed in the shutdown of 1. And then you can see as we go through the process of August 18, having ROTC renovation complete, the new gym complete, and then work continues, and then these milestones, as you see here, for January, the new locker room, new dance. In June of 19, the new auditorium is complete. Then December 19, having the B-wing interior complete. So that's that inside the campus area, so we're still not done in 19. July of 19, culinary arts and COSA complete. And then December, the courtyard. And in February of 2020, parking lot and fencing and end of project. So,
It's good. It's pretty simple to me.
that's about it.
I'm already starting to
Bringing Legos or something?
There's been a little bit of buzz on Facebook, whatever, about parking and kids going across Elbell and in the library there and all that kind of stuff. Big picture on what about parking.
Parking will be a little bit of what I started my presentation with as being a little bit of a pain for a while. We will open up even more so with the new crosswalk. Sheldon will be available. We're also trying to get to that site plan. Come on.
When you say shuttle, just a thought for those,
Well, I just,
they can walk with it.
if you go up to the library parking lot or the playground parking lot, or drive down the driveway to the YMCA, there's cars, you can't find a parking spot. And I would guarantee you 95% of those cars are students. I know they are because I've seen them walking. So they're crossing the street now.
And I know the city's looking at that issue about passing an ordinance to remove that, anything other than for the use of the library and the playscape. So that's definitely a consideration, because I know that was in the works, about passing an ordinance for that purpose, so no students can use that for parking anymore.
All right, if there's consideration about parking and there's a, I would think if it's, by the tennis courts or something, of course, they cross now because of tennis, so. But I know it will sound harsh, but I think if there's consideration about a shuttle, if that needs to happen, then that needs to happen, but,
Part of the area where I hear what you're saying, is in the back section of the stadium.
Yeah.
Is talking to the contractor about timing of even a temporary parking where it's base material, to where we can have some sort of area there available. To be honest and to be upfront, a lot of area is going to be chewed up for laydown. Otherwise, this project goes on for 5 to 6 years. So we're going to have to make some concessions a little bit and be as sensitive to the needs of the campus as best as possible. So we're looking at every available option as well, in addition to talking to the city about what options can we have here. So we already have certain things. We've talked to the campus about options for their parking. So we're working on that piece, but we don't, until we get a GC, the general contractor, and talk about the actual, are they comfortable with the way we've designed and phased this, they may have a different idea. But for now, we're looking at taking up some of the front and then taking up some of the back.
What the parking area, student parking area in the back, and I know there's some faculty that park there too as well. I know there's quite a bit. There's designated. Some of that is also taken up with the band program. That there's no parking at all in there, because I know in the fall anyway, they're just not allowed to park because the band is using that to practice anymore. Is there some, have y'all talked about that, moving some things around?
We haven't mentioned it, but like I said, until we get the GC on board and start those hard conversations or those truthful conversations, and having that is definitely targeted. That is true about what we can do here. Also mentioning, the phase of the parking. Is this area up here all visitors and staff? Then that would make sense. That's the front door, because you're not going to be able to park up here the first year and a half of this project.
If there's parking in the back there behind the stadium, then you might have to have some sort of shuttle or something. I don't know.
And I do know the band has a first period, but those seniors that are off first period park there because they come in for second period, so it opens up and they follow them. But I would say is having a senior, he would love to park across the street, but they were told those students were told they would be ticketed if they parked across from those portables. But the main reason the kids say they don't park at the courts is because they're running late and they're not going to make it on time, so they want to park as close as possible. So
All right, any further questions on this? All right, so we have a proposed motion on page 90.
Mr. President, I move the Board of Trustees approve the final design for Clements High School renovations and additions as presented. Funding for this project will be from voter-approved bond 2016 election.
And a second.
All right, motion and second. All those, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes unanimously. And good luck, Wayne. Go through it. Next item on the agenda, request for board approval, solicitation 17-006C for HVAC renovations at Watts Elementary, Wilder Intermediate, and Jordan Intermediate. Mr. Bruce, to you. Mr. Rivera.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, and Dr. Gibson. Request for competitive proposal was issued for the HVAC renovation project for Watts, Wilder, and Jordan Intermediate. This is one of the key items that was listed on the successful 2016 bond measure approved by our community. Bid opening was conducted on January 4th. 3 proposals were received and evaluated. The evaluation criteria included relevant school experience, project management, ability, past performance, subcontractors and suppliers, and the cost. Based on price and other evaluation criteria, Marksman General Contractors is recommended as the best value for our district. You can see the scoring on your agenda item. Mr. Pete Bohorelski, the professional engineer from McConnell Robinson, is here. He's our HVAC go-to guy. He's here tonight along with, I believe, Mr. Boblet, Mr. Dixon, and Mr. Hilburn from the Marksman General Contractors as well.
All right, any questions on this one? Thoughts? We have a motion on this item?
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the proposal submitted by Marksman General Contractors as per solicitation 17-006C in the amount of $8,393,000 and acknowledge that the funds are provided under the 2016 HVAC replacement bond measure.
I second.
All right, motion and a second to approve. Do we have any further discussion or questions? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. There you go. Any opposed, same sign? All right, motion passes unanimously. All right, you just voted on previously?
I know what I voted on.
All right, motion passes. That's unanimous. Next item, request for board approval, solicitation 17-010S for music instruments and equipment. Mr. Rivera. Mr. Clay.
Mr. President, members of the board, and Dr. Gibson, as Mr. Lett discussed earlier tonight, our music instruments and equipment made a big impact in our school district. In our prior year contract, we did have many line items. However, there are some line items we did not include. These items have been identified by our finance department. We put out another bid for these things, including several items which have some longer lead times, such as our sousaphones and some of our tubas. We received proposals from 31 companies that downloaded them. Actually, 19 submitted bids in response. I apologize, the print is a little bit small on your printout, but there was quite a bit of interest in this, and we're very excited. This is for strings and percussion, and for woodwinds, it's pretty thorough. Mr. Left, want to add anything? I know we just passed Christmas, you could have had more gifts, you could, these will be here before our end fiscal year, that's our aim.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the recommended unit pricing for music instruments and equipment from the recommended suppliers listed as per solicitation 17-01S, funding to be provided under the general operating funds.
My second.
All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. And we already did action item C4. Closed session is the next item on the agenda. I briefly discussed this with Dr. Gibson earlier, but I'll just throw this out on the board. Let me know if you're okay with this. We have several employment-related issues for closed session, and we also have a closed session item pertaining to the sale of real property. I know the folks here from the church have been real troopers tonight and stayed with us now for 6.5 hours. It may be 6 before we're all over. We're done here. So we could meet in closed session to simply discuss that item. I have no idea how long the other items may take. Come back out and make a vote on that, and then go back into closed session, or we just stay in closed session and get all of our business done at one time and then come back. So this is a courtesy to these folks that have stayed here all this time. Does anyone have any thoughts or preference there?
Do we anticipate the other one taking?
It may or may not. I don't
Three, totally.
Okay. Everybody okay with doing all? All right. Sorry, folks.
We'll be quick.
So at this time, the board is going to go into closed session in accordance with Texas Government Code, Chapter 551.074, to discuss personnel matters, and also 551.072, to deliberate the sale of real property. And again, folks, I don't know how long this is going to take, but we'll come back out of closed session and make any votes public at that time.
That's right.
Let's get rolling. It's now 11:06 p.m. And first of all, appreciate the audience still being here. I don't know. divine intervention and whatnot, but this is literally the latest we've had a board meeting in years. So we just had several important topics to discuss. Yeah, so, you guys plan on coming back next month too? All right, this time we're back in open session again, 11:06 p.m. The only items we discussed in closed session were those on the agenda and those that were in compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. We'll just go ahead and take it right down the list here. So now that we're back in open session is where we actually make votes and decisions on those items that we discussed. First, letter A here, request for board action, employment of Director of Athletics, Health, and Physical Education. Ms. Cameron?
The position of Director of Athletics, Health, and Physical Education is a new budgeted position for the 2016-17 school year, and this position will be funded from the school year 16-17 general operating budget.
Okay, do we have a motion on this item?
Mr. President, I move the Board of Trustees approve the employment of Director of Athletics, Health, and Physical Education for 2016-2017 school year as recommended by administration.
Second.
And discussed in closed session.
And discussed in closed session, yes. Thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Any opposed, same sign. Okay, that motion passes 6-1. Going to item B, request for board action, employment of campus principal, Corporate Junior High School. Ms. Cameron.
The position of campus principal is replacing a budgeted position for the 2016-17 school year and will be funded from the general operating budget for 16-17.
Yeah, do we have a motion?
No motion, no action.
Mr. President, I move the Board of Trustees approve the employment of campus principal for 2016-2017 school year as recommended by administration and discussed in closed session.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Request for board action, employment of contractual personnel. Ms. Cameron.
The positions on the employment list as presented are replacing budgeted positions for the 16-17 school year and funded from the 16-17 general operating budget.
Do we have a motion on this item?
I move the Board of Trustees approve the employment list as presented of contractual personnel for the 2016-2017 school year.
All right.
I second.
Motion and second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed? So, motion passes unanimously. All right, looks like it's time to go home. We're done. One last action item. All right. Request for board actions, solicitation 17-011B for sale of real property. Anything further you'd like to add, Mr. Rivera?
No, sir.
Mr. President, I move the board accept the bid of Refuge Church of San Antonio for the Northview Student Resource Center, authorize the board president and secretary to execute a resolution approving the sale, authorizing the superintendent to execute a real estate sale contract with the bidder, and authorize the board president to execute a deed and other closing documents necessary to convey the property.
Second.
All right, motion and second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion passes 7-0. Congratulations, folks. All right, we're going to give you guys a list of all the committees we have in the district. You guys are true road warriors, so we appreciate you being here tonight, okay? All right, moving on. Review of information regarding the 2017 HEB Excellence in Education Awards interview. Dr. Gibbs.
So this next week on the 24th, we have an itinerary laid out. I think everybody said that they could do it, is that correct? Tuesday, 24th. Is that
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So this happens fast, so that's why Mr. Chairman wanted us to run over tonight. So January 24th, which is the next Tuesday.
Is this another interview?
Yeah, this is the day. we're like that. So the way this is going to happen, as best we can tell right now, is we're gonna actually have these partitions closed. In this room, we'll have a table set up right here in front of us for the interview time. So as that's going on, our career technology students, culinary arts students are gonna be setting up lunch on the other side. I paid to inform all that the lunch is not for the board, but I have made arrangements with them for y'all to go through the line first, and then y'all can go down to the conference room and eat lunch if you want to. But what we have coming in at whatever time's on here, and I'm not gonna look at it, we have some community members and parents and folks like that that are coming in with that thing. The judges, if you will, are going to sit down with community members and eat lunch and probably ask questions about the district and the board, and things like that. I do have the bios. I got them today for all of the judges. I don't think that that's secretive. I think I just got it today, and I did maybe, and so we'll scan those and send those out. Y'all recognize some of the people you probably know, several of the judges. So we'll send that out. One, I think, San Antonio folk, and Jim Nelson, previous commissioner of education, Julian Trevino, David Anderson from Hillville Park, people that y'all are probably aware of. So that's next Tuesday.
Do we know anything about the school board party? Just sit down and do questions, interviews, and chit chat, or criteria?
Probably what we'll do is send, I would assume, and we do not have any, that's a good question, we don't have any specific information, but we do have the framework that they asked. So we'll send that to the board tomorrow. I would assume the questions are coming out of the framework that they asked. So tomorrow you're going to get an email with the files of the judges and then what we wrote. And I'll tell you all, what in large part what we did is we took the TASA honor board chunks of information, I'll just call it that way, and brought those over where they fit. Does that make sense? So it's not going to look totally unfamiliar. But then some of the questions did square up, completely. So we just rewrote some things because the questions didn't square up.
It's in, all those notes are in our Outlook.
Yeah, we'll email them tomorrow to your personal. And I'm very impressed that you know that, but I think you're the only one. We will email that to every account that we have tomorrow.
Yeah, we got, remember the categories that we had in Houston? Does everyone still kind of remember that?
Yes.
Talking points, so I'll resend that and we'll get to that somehow.
Yeah, and then compare that to what these.
And Robert just asked, do we know who won last year?
I think it was Somerset.
Somerset ISD.
Oh, Somerset?
Yes, sir.
Really?
Remember, we have to come up with a problem to solve.
Yeah, I think it's some really disaster situation.
Do you want yours?
Work with insurance to get them a place to
Okay.
tell that story. Okay.
All right, anything further on that item? Yeah, this dinner thing on Sunday, May 7th, is that something we're all going to as well?
Yeah, that was, I was gonna ask that too.
Or is that just a few people just go?
No.
Is that the win, only for women?
No, that's a table reserved for your finalists.
All the finalists.
That is a
Nobody
table.
knows till that night in.
Correct, it's a big reveal that day.
I understand we each get 5% discount at HEB if we can get groceries. That would be great. All right, everybody okay with that item? All right, review of board master calendar and request for future discussion action items. Mr. Pupito, anything important coming up?
Yeah, I'm looking at that May 7th date, that's Mother's Day.
It's like you're thinking Mary Dallas.
No.
It's in Austin, it's in Austin.
Even
No,
worse.
we're gonna take it. Okay, last day, on January 24th, the Cibolo City Council at 6:30 meeting, and in February. And I don't believe we have anything else in January, do we? Let's see, February 7th, City of Universal City, City Council, 6:30 p.m. And on Thursday, the 9th of February, Selma City Council, 6:30 p.m. We are meeting on February 7th, I believe, at 6 p.m. And on 14th February, 11:30 a.m., Tri County Chamber, 6 p.m. Church City Council, and 6:30 p.m. Cibolo City Council. And on the 16th, the regular board meeting, And the 21st, Shirts Chamber meeting, 11:30 a.m. And on the 28th of February, Cibolo City Council has a meeting at 6:30 p.m. That'll do it. Oh, yeah, we have, let's see. The February 10th, the brunch for the adult, 18 plus adult transition apartment, is that correct? And that's going to be, that's at Marion Gofford Learning Center, 200 West Slaughter in Cibolo. That's at 10:30 to 12 noon. And then the Communities in Schools also has a...
That's on February 7th at Byron Steel.
February 7th, Byron Steel, Communities in Schools, that's 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. It's a campus chat, it's lunch and chat. And then they have a fundraiser they do, it's called the Rock and Roll for Kids. Slick Braun presents 15th Annual Rock and Roll for Kids, benefiting Community in Schools, April 1st. That's 2017. Gourmet menu, dancing, silent live auction, and that is at what time?
I don't know what time it is. It's
okay. It's in the evening, I'm sure. Yeah, it's got to be in the evening. But anyway, you find out the time and bring it to us.
all right.
We'll go. I'll be on it. Yeah. And that's it. Right there.
TD, I don't remember the exact dates, but I know Tasby has a winter governance down in Corpus Christi.
Yes. it's
Right,
about
first part of March.
And
You sent out an email, I
exactly,
think.
yeah, on it.
Are we doing the governance thing on the 31st?
First, second, third, I think. It's that first weekend in March, yeah.
The TASB?
You're in the house.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Yeah, I don't recall signing up for that thing on the 17th, but in February or the 21st, whatever it is,
When we go to Austin.
going to Austin thing. But I mean, I can.
yeah, I don't think your name was on there.
It was.
Yeah, you're registered.
Huh?
You are registered.
I know, but I don't believe I think I told Priscilla, no, I told her I was going to Austin on the 31st, and to going to Austin again that soon would be against my nature. It would clog up my system, and, you know, can't be around that many crazy people, and, you know, I live that life, you know what I mean? I don't need to be around.
All right, anything further on the calendar?
You would use this slot.
Yeah.
It was a great conversation.
All right, thanks everyone for being here this late. It's actually one of those meetings we've had in a while. So,
Go.
all right, we have a motion to adjourn? So moved. All right, we're done.